Pokémon, the Shiny Pokémon Attractor. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 501. Although Doru himself does not know Braille, this does not prevent him from observing the slate in Braille. He imitated the slate with his hands and touched it. Sure enough, the dots in each small area have unique rules, which really feels like Braille. Wutong did not respond. What talent is not talent? He is just an insignificant prophet. It seems that I need to contact my father and ask him to find someone who knows Braille to translate it. Doru put away the imitation slate and said, "It is not enough to just translate Braille into text. After all, there are differences between ancient and modern texts, and a second translation is required. In short, this will be a big project. But no matter what, this project has a starting point. Then here is what Dr. Metz asked me to bring you." Wutong snapped his fingers. The shadow under his feet spread upwards and came to the table, and then 3 stones of different materials floated out. Is this what was found inside the ancient rose ruins? It looks like just ordinary stones. Dago took the steel stone and said. Wutong looked at Dago silently and found that his spirit was not drawn to the distance. It seems that normal touch will not activate these things. Does it require superpowers to connect? Or did he succeed with the help of unknown totems? Wutong analyzed secretly in his heart, and at the same time, he was thinking about whether to speak out his own guess. After all, it would be troublesome to expose too many things at once, but with Dago's personality, he would definitely not do anything to hurt himself. Actually, I touched these 3 stones when I was sorting out my belongings on the way here. Wutong decided to say it out. Anyway, his background is different, and he is still a well-known person in the Alliance. Even if he reveals some special talents, it will only cause the Alliance to cultivate vigorously. After all, those who are obsessed with power and have no brains to suppress themselves should also consider their grandparents. It seems that something special has happened, otherwise you wouldn't tell me specifically. Dago said. First of all, Mr. Dago, you should also know that I'm a psychic, right? Although I'm a very weak psychic. Wutong asked. Dago picked up the coffee again, drank a sip with an elegant posture, and motioned Wutong to continue. Maybe it's because of psychic power, or it may be another coincidence. When I touched one of the stones, I felt that my mental power was guided out, and then connected with another mental power, achieving a super long distance telepathy, but the other party should be sleeping. Wutong said. Wutong, do you know that there are legends about the continent and the ocean in the Hone region? Dago asked. Is it the legend that Groudon created the land and Kaiga created the ocean? Wutong asked back. That's right. In the legend, the battle between Groudon and Kaiga was stopped by Rayquaza, and Groudon and Kaiga fell asleep. However, there are 2 treasures that can wake Groudon and Kaiga. Dago said. So, Mr. Dago, do you think these 3 stones are similar to the treasures that can wake Groudon and Kaiga? Wutong asked. It's possible, and if nothing unexpected happens, these 3 stones are very relevant to the research we are doing on the stone tablet. Dago said seriously. If that's the case, the value of these 3 stones is far higher than you imagined. Wutong said. So, thank you for sending them here safely. What should I use as a reward? Dago fell into thought. Oh, as for the reward, President Xiaoxi has already given it to me. President Xiaoxi gave me a stone called the quasi-precious stone. Although I haven't figured out how to use it yet. Wutong took out the quasi-precious stone and said. Like a precious stone. It seems that father is also optimistic about you, but this is just the reward from father. You have helped me so much, I have to think about the reward carefully. Dago said. Is there anything you want? Although you should not lack anything with the status of Mr. Aquan and Ms. Xingzi, Do & Company also has many unique things. Dago said generously. In that case, I may really need to ask Mr. Dago. I want to use the technology of Do & Company to help me make something. Wutong thought for a while said. Oh, what is it? Dago asked with interest. Well, it's a bit difficult to talk about it here. If you don't mind, please go to my room to discuss it in detail. Wutong said. In the room that Wutong applied for at the Pokémon Center, Dago and Wutong sat opposite each other on the sofa. "It's like this, Mr. Dago, since you already know my hidden identity, I don't need to hide anything," Wutong said. "So it's about the Pokémon investigator?" Dago asked. "Yes, in order to hide my identity, I changed my appearance and gender by dressing up as a woman and carried out the activities of the Pokémon investigator as Xiaozhi," Wutong said, and took out the various props he used for his disguise. "This is really the first time I've seen it. I didn't expect that disguise requires so many props. It seems that you are also very hard at work," Dago couldn't help but say. "Although I'm now very skilled in disguise still requires time and place, which makes me very troubled. After all, sometimes you need to race against time," Wutong continued to explain. "That's true. The time and place to change clothes are also a problem." Dago nodded in agreement. "Then, I wonder if Mr. Dago knows about Pokémon Mask or Pokémon Team?" Wutong continued to ask. "I did see Scorpio and Flame Chicken Man when I was a kid, so you are hoping?" Dago guessed what Wutong wanted to ask at this time. "Yes, I hope to ask Mr. Dago to use the technology of Do & Company to help me research a set of fast changing equipment. It would be best if it was like Pokémon Mask, using a belt to transform," Wutong said his request. Although he had planned to ask Xiaoming to study it before, Xiaoming's professionalism was probably enough, and the Rocket Team trio might be able to do it. But it was also troublesome to find them. Now that he met Dago, and with the technology of Do & Company as a support, Wutong felt that the probability of success was very high. A transformation belt. An interesting idea. If it doesn't require any special abilities and it's just a simple disguise, I think there should be no problem. Okay, then use the transformation belt as a reward. I will ask the R&D department of Do & Company to make a sample as soon as possible," Dago said cheerfully. Chapter 502. The next day, Wutong came to see Dago off on the outskirts of Wudao Town. "Goodbye, Mr. Dago," Wutong said. "I will give you your reward as soon as possible," Dago said while standing on the giant gold monster. After saying goodbye to Dago, Wutong stretched. The courier's mission has been completed, and the next step is to travel normally. But before that, we still have to go to the stone cave. Wutong re-entered the stone cave, and then returned to the territory of the Makuhita tribe. In the territory, the Makuhita tribe was either working hard to mine, or practicing the Flame Fist and the Thunder Fist. As a security guard, Boscadora was discussing something with the Iron Palm Warriors chief. "Oh, you have such a good relationship in just one day," Wutong walked over and teased. Raw Boscadora shouted, "Who would mind having another mine owner as a friend?" Hey, seeing Wutong coming, he thought he wanted to take the excavated ore, so he shouted to the Makuhita next to him. After a while, the 3-color ore that Wutong requested was piled up in front of Wutong. Wutong was not polite and collected them all directly, but still received a cold eye from the Dream Demon. After telling Boscadora and the Iron Palm Warriors chief that he came here just to borrow a safe place to use, he came to a large enough open space by himself. "Come out." Wutong released all the Pokémon on his body in one breath. A group of Pokémon appeared, waiting for Wutong's instructions. But soon, the two elders, Infernape and Beedrill, discovered that Iron Warrior and Steelix, who rarely appear together, were also released. So, either there is an urgent task, or there will be new members. Onion Soldier came to Iron Warrior's side. After all, this guy's fighting style is a bit similar to its own, and it wants to pull Iron Warrior into the Three Sword Sect. Ditto collapsed into a pool of boredom, but it immediately discovered that there seemed to be a new face on the field. Beside Iron Warrior's legs, a Snow White Pokémon timidly hugged Iron Warrior's legs, and most of its body was hidden behind Iron Warrior. The 4 little ones also discovered this new little guy, but the 4 little guys with different personalities did completely different actions. Mealy felt that this new little guy seemed to be as shy as it was, but not quite the same. It wanted to go up and take a look, but due to its personality, Mealy rolled up into a big pink marshmallow, secretly observing the new member in the pink wool. Eevee, who slept wherever he went, decisively lay on Mealy and used Mealy as a bed to sleep. Yaya was still so lively and had already started running beside Xiaoxia, wanting to make friends with this new little friend. Yaya was not very interested in the new member. After all, it had already met him once, so Yaya walked directly in front of Wutong and kicked Wutong on the calf. Yaya still remembered that Wutong called her out as a tool and took her back directly after she was done. Okay, don't be angry. Look, I dug a whole mine for you. Wutong picked up Yaya, showed her around, and then took out a piece of red gem metal ore and put it in Yaya's arms. It must be said that Yaya is easy to coax, or maybe it is because it is Wutong who coaxes it that it is so easy to coax. Yaya took the food and nibbled it in small bites. The gemstone metal ore, which was originally extremely hard, was like tofu in Yaya's mouth, and it was very smooth to bite. Dream Demon, you come out too, Wutong said to his shadow. The Dream Demon flew out from Wutong's shadow and then disappeared. When it appeared again, it was behind Xiaoxia. Lalu. The Dream Demon that suddenly appeared beside him scared Xiaoxia, but for some reason, Xiaoxia felt that the Dream Demon was not scary, but wanted to get close to it. The Dream Demon called softly, and then put his head together with Xiaoxia's. The Iron Warrior didn't know what his big sister was doing, but Xiaoxia didn't seem to be afraid, so the Iron Warrior didn't stop him. Infernape, Beedrill, Ditto, and Onion Swarmer all came over, but seeing how shy Xiaoxia was, they knew better and didn't surround him. Seeing his group of Pokémon in harmony, Wutong was also very happy, but he felt like he had forgotten something. Cockadora in the Pokéball, it's okay, I'm not sad. Carrot hey, this is our new member, Ralts, Xiaoxia. Xiaoxia is shy because he just experienced some bad things, so you have to take good care of him, Wutong said. Ralts Xiaoxia also remembered his trainer at this time. After looking at Wutong, Xiaoxia's expression froze. Why? His trainer looked different, although Xiaoxia could feel that the person in front of him was his trainer. But why did the gender change? Ah, by the way, Xiaoxia, you haven't seen my original appearance yet. In fact, this is my original appearance now. The previous one was just a disguise. Wutong explained to Xiaoxia. Lalu Xiaoxia nodded, not quite understanding. Then, these are all my Pokémon, my family, and they will become your family. Of course, there are some that are not around for the time being, and you will meet them in the future. Wutong continued. After hearing Wutong's introduction, Wutong's Pokémon all showed a silly smile. Asterisk. Xiaoxia trembled, but was not so scared. The horns on the heads of Pokémon like Lalu can sense the emotions of other creatures. Xiaoxia could feel that all of Wutong's Pokémon were showing kindness to it. Xiaoxia was still a young Pokémon after all, so he quickly let down his guard against Wutong's Pokémon and successfully integrated into the team of 4 little ones, becoming 5 little ones. However, because Wutong had already decided to let Xiaoxia join Xiaotong's team, it would be difficult for the 5 little ones to have a chance to fight together. Wutong looked at the 5 little ones mixed together and began to think about the future training plan. Now they are about to challenge the second gym. However, except for Xiaoxia who just joined the team, the other 4 little ones are still only doing basic training, but they will soon pass the juvenile period. Now that the foundation has been laid, the formal training plan will begin. As for Xiaoxia, Wutong has checked that he is about to end his juvenile period, but his foundation is very poor. If he wants to make up for it, he needs to work harder. The important problem now is that except for Eevee, the flash force of the other 4 little guys is all unknown. In this way, we can only train according to their known characteristics. Eevee does not need to think and must be trained in the direction of ICV because the flash force is similar to Xiaobai, so Xiaobai's training method can be completely referred to. Focus on skill release and strengthen the freezing effect of flash force. Xiaoxia, Wutong must evolve to Gardevoir. After all, Xiaotong's team already has an excellent physical attacker, Iron Warrior. Although the Iron Warrior's special attack is also excellent, it is better to have a special attacker, which reminds Wutong of Interpolemo. Perhaps Emo left his contact information because he guessed Wutong's thoughts. Thinking of Imo's joint attack of Alido and Gardevoir, Wutong felt that he should contact Imo when he had time. Merely and Fang, a special attacker and a physical attacker in the future, are also relatively pure attackers. Merely even has a Dragon Star Cluster as a trump card. Wutong is also very experienced in training such pure attackers. Then the problem lies in Yo-Yo, this kind of Pokémon that can definitely become the core of the team, although it has many weaknesses, but excellent attack and body and the basic ability of Quasi-God. Let Yo-Yo, who will evolve into Banguirus in the future, has great potential, but the first thing to do is to let Yo-Yo strengthen the control of the sandstorm. Although Banguirus's talent of raising sand can naturally stir up sandstorms, Wutong thinks that, in order to strengthen the ability to control sandstorms, Yo-Yo must also learn sandstorms. Yo-Yo, what do you think of the nickname of one-tailed Shikaku? Wutong suddenly lowered his head and asked Yo-Yo. Yo-Yi. Yo-Yo tilted his head and didn't understand what Wutong was talking about. In any case, playing with sand is an excellent copycat. Ahem. No, it's a reference material, whether it's a certain wind shadow or a certain crocodile. There is no need to copy it. As long as you combine the existing skills to restore similar effects, you can achieve a strong combat power. After letting a group of Pokémon play for a while, Wutong put them all back into the Pokéball. The leisure time is over, and now it's time to go and see the gym leader of Wudao Town, Fugishu. Leaving the stone, after leaving the cave, Wutong returned to Wudao Town. There was nothing to hesitate about, so Wutong went directly to the Wudao Gym. However, although Wutong did not hesitate, the Wudao Gym hesitated. The door was tightly closed, and a note saying that the owner was out was posted on the door. This is really unfortunate, but if Fugishu goes out, Mobile Rotom, take me to the surfing spot near Wudao Town. Wutong thought for a while and said, got it. Lotto Mobile Rotom directly turned on the navigation mode and took Wutong to the surfing spot in Wudao Town. In the surfing spot in Wudao Town, the sun, the beach, the bay, the handsome men, the beautiful women, the bikinis, everything is so beautiful. On the waves rising from the sea, a man wearing orange swimming trunks and a hairstyle that is very suitable for playing cards rides on the waves and surfs happily. And next to this man is a Maku hitter who is also surfing. Sure enough, here you are. Surfing? I just happened to have my surfboard with me. Wutong came to the sea house near the surfing spot, borrowed a dressing room here, changed into swimming trunks and walked out. The same sunglasses as the Squirtle army, plus a pair of black swimming trunks, holding a water blue surfboard in one hand. Following Wutong was the Green Onion soldier who also wore sunglasses. The equipment on his body was taken off and put into Wutong's backpack, and the two green blades were stored in Wutong's shadow. The Green Onion soldier also wore a pair of sunglasses, but the surfboard he was holding looked a bit strange, like a flattened duck. Wutong and the Green Onion soldier came to the beach, saw the right time, and rushed out directly. Because they had experience surfing in the surfing town in the Johto area, when the next wave appeared, Wutong and the Green Onion soldier easily jumped onto the waves. Wutong steadied his body, and the surfboard carried Wutong on the waves. The Onion soldier also had the same posture as the Wutong, but its movement seemed smoother. What excellent surfing skills. Are you here to travel to Wudao Town? Wutong and the Onion soldier naturally attracted Tengshu's attention, and Tengshu shouted to Wutong from a distance. No, I'm here to visit someone for a friend. Wutong said in a riddle. At this time, the body of the Maku Hitarikishi beside Tengshu suddenly shook and fell directly into the water. Maku Hitarikishi. Tengshu couldn't help shouting. Kangai soldier, go save it. Wutong commanded. The Onion soldier dived into the water, and the duck-shaped surfboard automatically followed. The next second, the Maku Hitarikishi was rescued, and the Onion soldier helped the Maku Hitarikishi stand on the duck-shaped surfboard that was twice as large. The few of them returned directly to the beach, and Tengshu pressed the Maku Hitarikishi's abdomen, and a small fountain spurted out of the Maku Hitarikishi's mouth. Is Maku Hitar okay? Wutong asked. Yes, Maku Hitar is fine. Thank you for saving Maku Hitar. I really don't know how to thank you. Fugishu said gratefully. Is that so? Then come with me to a gym challenge. The owner of the Wudao Gym, RC's apprentice, Fugishu. Wutong said. Who are you? This Pokémon. Are you Wutong? Fujishu looked at Wutong carefully at this time, and then looked at the Kang yubbing beside Wutong, and couldn't help saying, yes, it seems that RC mentioned me to you? Wutong asked. Yes, Master RC often mentioned you to me, and Mr. Zibber also talked about you. Fujishu stood up and said happily. Hamakuhita also woke up, and called out to Kang yubbing in gratitude. Did Master Zibber mention me too? Is he praising me? Wutong touched his head, and asked with the same smile as Shinchan. It's not surprising that Fujishu knows Zibber Wutong. After all, Fujishu has practiced with Zibber in the Kibeo Valley of the Seven Islands. Mr. Zibber said that, although your fighting talent is average, your physical fitness is very good, which makes you suitable to be a sandbag. Fujishu said honestly. Wutong showed a puzzled expression on his face. I have wanted to meet you for a long time. After all, I have never hit a human-shaped sandbag. Fujishu said excitedly. Wutong's expression was distorted. You are Fujishu, not Fujimitoshu. Can you stop being crazy here? Chapter 503. The battle was over, and the two sides had a lot of difficulties. In the fighting gym, Fujishu, who was found by Wutong, stood opposite Wutong in the fighting area of the fighting gym. The rules are 2-on-2 singles, is that okay? Fujishu asked. Of course, I have no problem at all. Wutong replied. What about the strength? Fujishu continued to ask. After all, Wutong is no longer a rookie. To put it bluntly, with Wutong's strength, he can even get the badge directly without challenging the gym. After all, no one should question that the champions of the two regional conferences will not be qualified to participate in the KIR conference. So Fujishu wanted to ask Wutong whether he was going to have a symbolic fight or a full-scale fight. After all, as a gym leader, most of the challengers he usually faces are half-new trainers. As a Pokémon trainer, you will definitely get bored of always playing the baby cup. So Fujishu really hopes that Wutong can have a full-strength battle with him. However, Wutong will definitely disappoint Fujishu. After all, Wutong came here to train his new Pokémon. Rookie mode. I have a few Pokémon that I just captured that need to be trained, but if I want a full-strength battle, I can have a chance to do it later. Wutong said. As an acting gym leader, Wutong can certainly understand Fujishu's feelings, so he said that he didn't plan to leave the fighting island so soon anyway. Wutong also planned to learn the secrets of softness and hardness from Fujishu, seeing that others who were reborn and traveled through time and space relied on Tekai to kill all around. Wutong, let alone teaching Pokémon, even he himself only remembered a little bit of the simplified Tekai 24 moves that he learned temporarily during the college physical education exam. Not to mention using it for fighting. Even health preservation is difficult. Without proper boxing manuals and understanding, knowing only the phrase borrowing force to counter force and 4 ounces to move 1,000 pounds is meaningless. Wutong also knows the E=mc formula. What's the use? He can't rely on this to build a time machine. So Wutong decided to try to learn the soft secrets of Tengshu to see if he can make a real Tekai. As for the secret of hardness, Tengshu learned it from Zibber. Normally, Wutong, the chief disciple of Zibber, does not need to learn from others. But unfortunately, Zibber's guidance to Wutong is basically to guide Wutong himself, and the training of Pokémon is just to use Wutong's Pokémon as sandbags for his own Pokémon. Although there is nothing technical, it does create a strong body for Wutong's first echelon. In short, Wutong thinks that the softness and hardness of Tengshu are worth learning. Okay, I understand. In that case, go ahead, Armstrong. Tengshu nodded and sent out his Pokémon first. Wutong thought for a moment, and took out a Pokéball. Male, go ahead. It's decided to be you. Male. As soon as the shy male appeared, it decisively launched the cotton defense, transformed into a big pink cotton candy, and hid in the pink wool to observe secretly. Male, get ready for battle. Wutong said again. Male responded, and its head poked out of the wool, but it did not cancel the cotton defense state, as if it had made up its mind to shrink back at any time. Your male personality is quite interesting. Tengshu couldn't help but say. Sorry, this kid is a bit shy. Wutong said helplessly. In the battlefield, Armstrong and Male looked at each other. Wrist power, let's go first. Empty-handed chop. Tengshu was not polite and directly commanded Melee to start the attack. Wrist power rushed towards Melee, with his palm straight up like a knife, raised high and chopped towards Melee. Melee, cotton defense. Wutong commanded. Melee's head retracted into the wool, and the wool, that had already expanded, grew again, and a large cotton ball appeared directly on the battlefield. Wrist power's empty-handed chop hit Melee's body, which can be said to be a real punch on cotton. There was no real sense of hitting, which made wrist power very uncomfortable. The defense against physical attacks is unexpectedly good. Melee, charge. Wutong commanded. In the battle of the rookie level, Melee's cotton defense is invincible against physical attack-based Pokémon. After all, the skills of those Pokémon that have not yet grown up are extremely limited. The sheep hid in its wool and began to store electricity. Since this is the case, words, wrist power. Throw it on the earth. Tengshu changed his strategy and commanded. He grabbed the wool of the Melee sheep with his wrist and threw the Melee sheep into the sky with all his strength. Melee, let's defend again with cotton. Wutong commanded. With 3 layers of cotton defense, the damage caused by a ball on the earth to Melee sheep is almost negligible. The big pink marshmallow even bounced twice when it landed on the ground. The impact of landing was mostly reduced by the large amount of expanded wool. Sure enough, it has no effect. Use your wrist strength to press the Melee sheep to the ground. Then use splitting tiles continuously. Tengshu was looking for a way to break the game. Sure enough, fighting against Wutong can make people's blood boil, even if they are at the novice level. After hearing Tengshu's command, Wanli jumped up and stepped on the Melee sheep's body, making a dent in the Melee sheep's expanded wool. Both hands were shaped like knives, slashing alternately left and right, hitting Melee sheep's body again and again. Wrist's attacks were very targeted, and the attacks were all concentrated in one area. It seemed that Tengshu wanted to offset Melee Yang's cotton defense through continuous attacks. Melee Yang, electric shock. Of course, Wutong did not intend to watch Melee Yang break through Melee Yang's defense with his wrist strength, and decisively commanded Melee Yang to start counterattack. Electricity suddenly flashed between the wool of the Melee sheep, and the entire pink marshmallow suddenly became dangerous. The electric current immediately spread to Wrist's body, and Wrist's attack could not help but be stopped. Then Wanli continued to attack against Melee Yang's electric shock. Electricity flashed across Wanli's body, obviously entering a state of paralysis. However, the wrist attack became more ferocious after entering the paralyzed state. Perseverance, Melee Yang. Give up the cotton defense. Wutong shouted. Melee sheep, who had officially entered the fighting state, was no longer shy. Melee sheep broke away directly from the large ball of cotton. The wrist was left with an empty cotton shell. Without the support of the Melee sheep, the cotton body suddenly became softer, and the wrist fell directly into it. Unexpected trap. Melee sheep, cotton spores. Wutong seized the opportunity and commanded. Li Yang screamed, his body shook, and another ball of pink cotton floated out and landed next to Xiaozhi. His wrist was suddenly entangled in cotton, and his movements became stiff. Wrist strength, use your perseverance and split the tiles. Tengshu shouted. His wrist struggled in the cotton, trying to rush to Melee Yang's side. Just because the large amount of cotton severely limits the movement of the wrist. Melee Yang, do it again. Electric shock. Wutong continued to command. Electricity flashed all over Li Yang's body, and he released another bolt of lightning that struck at his wrist. Lightning pierced arm strength, but arm strength relied on perseverance to move forward. Wrist strength, let him see our secret of strength. Explosive punch. Fujishu knew that, although the endurance of wrist strength would be very high due to the characteristic of perseverance, it was not without an upper limit. So Tengshu decisively commanded Melee Yang to open up. He punched out with his wrist, and the wind of the fist made an explosion sound, and a lot of cotton stuck to his body was blown away. Without pausing, he used another explosive punch with his wrist. This time, the direction of the fist swing was the electric current shot by Melee Yang. With one punch, the electric current from Melee Yang was also dispersed. But Melee Yang's attack was not a one-time attack, and the electric shock was immediately followed. The wrist force punched out one bursting punch after another, as if it was not consumed at all, and all the cotton on his body was blown away under the influence of the continuous bursting punches. The speed returned to normal, and his wrist strength rushed to Mi Liang's side in one breath, and hit Mi Liang's body with a bursting punch. Mi Liang, cheer up, run, and continue using electric shocks. Wutong was helpless at this time, because Mi Liang only knew 3 attack skills now. Crash, Electric Shock and Dragon Star Cluster. Don't think about collision. Using impact to hit the current wrist is no different from throwing yourself into a trap, and the Dragon Star Cluster can't control it well with the current melee sheep. It can only use Electric Shock to attack, and among the remaining skills, the cotton defense has been broken by the vines, and the cotton spores are now useless. The rest of the auxiliary skills have no effect on the current situation. Wutong does not believe that wrist strength is not a wasteful attack method. What we have to fight for now is endurance. Mi Liang began to run in the field, electric current flashing on his body attacking his wrist. Under the pull of Mi Liang, one leaf fell down first. The secret of steel is indeed very powerful, but it is still too much of a burden on the wrist. Hey, the victorious Mi Liang returned to Wutong. Congratulations, Mi Liang, this is your first victory. Wutong rubbed the head of the sheep and said. Without feeling the numbness, Wutong found that he had been thinking wrong about the characteristics of the sheep. He originally thought that the sheep had normal static electricity characteristics. It seems that the reason why he was electrocuted when he hugged it was because of the current released by the sheep's personality. The real characteristic of the sheep should be positive electricity. Come back, Armstrong, you have worked hard. You are worthy of being Mr. Shiba's disciple. You are very good at dealing with fighting Pokémon. Fujishu retracted his Armstrong and praised. It's just a coincidence. If it is a battle with the main Pokémon, the battle process will be completely different. Wutong responded modestly. Wutong is not purely modest. After all, the strength of the Armstrong cannot fully demonstrate the fierceness of the mystery of strength. Of course, if it is a battle between the main Pokémon, Wutong will not have to rely on the kite to pull to decide the outcome in the end. Sure enough, it's fun to fight you, Makuhita, please. Fujishu smiled. That was the excitement of meeting a strong enemy. Hey, Makuhita, who was surfing with Fujishu, appeared in the battlefield. Mi Liang, keep going. Wutong was ready to let Mi Liang continue to fight. As the first battle, of course, all kinds of things must be experienced. The first victory has been experienced, and the next step is to experience the first defeat. Mi Liang called out in response to Wutong. Mi Liang, cotton defense. Wutong commanded. Mi Liang skillfully turned into a pink cotton candy. It's useless, Makuhita, keep pushing. Fujishu commanded. Hey. Makuhita rushed to Mi Liang and pushed out with a palm. Now, Mi Liang hit. Wutong commanded as if predicting. Melee sheep rushed out of the wall directly, passed under the palm pushed out by Makuhita and hit the belly of Makuhita. However, Melee sheep felt that the touch was a bit wrong, as if it didn't hit solid. That's right. Makuhita, show us the results of our surfing. Shoot it down. Fujiki shouted happily. At this time, Makuhita's posture was weird, and his bloated body was unexpectedly agile. He maintained the posture of pushing his palm, but his body twisted to one side. After hearing Fujiki's command, Makuhita turned his palm over, turning the push into a slap, and slapped Melee Sheep all at once. Melee Sheep was directly slapped to the ground. It really was slapped down. Melee Sheep, electric shock. Wutong commanded. Melee Sheep, who was slapped to the ground, closed his eyes in pain, but after hearing Wutong's command, he subconsciously condensed electricity. Lightning flashed on the body of the sheep, and then began to attack indiscriminately around. Wutong's eyes condensed. He didn't know if it was an illusion, but he always felt that there were a few blue electric currents on the body of the sheep. The raging electric current left a series of charred marks on the body of the Makuhita. Perhaps it was a burst of last gasp burst. The electric shock of the sheep this time was much more powerful than before. Makuhita. Mount A is pressing down. Fujishu shouted. Hey. Makuhita jumped up and pressed directly towards the sheep. There was a dull sound of landing, and the poor little sheep was almost crushed into a mutton pie. Thank you for your hard work, the sheep. A good first battle. Wutong looked at the sheep, which had become a circle-eyed sheep, and praised the sheep, and put it back into the Pokeball. The blue current just now was definitely not an illusion. Wutong felt that it might be related to the flash power of the melee sheep. After all, after the blue current appeared, the electric shock power of the melee sheep was greatly improved. Wutong did not think that was the last burst of the melee sheep. After all, the state of the melee sheep was more like using skills subconsciously, and it did not release the electricity in its body without scruples. But now there is no time to study the specific situation. After all, his battle is not over yet. Wutong has nothing to hesitate about the last Pokémon. Now, except for the new team Xiaoxia, who has not yet had his first battle, there is only Yair among the 5 little guys. Xiaoxia is definitely unlikely to appear in the gym battle, so it's time to see if Yair has talent in battle. It's decided to be you. Yair. Wutong threw the Pokeball and shouted, Jiwa. The energetic Yair appeared in the battlefield. Chapter 504. The battle was a battle, but the battle was a battle. Before the second round of battle begins, let's take a brief look at Fang's information. Fang, a Fang Pokémon, will use its teeth to crush tree fruits and eat them. Through repeated regeneration, Fang's fangs will become very sharp and tough. As one of the few Pokémon that are pure dragon type in all evolutionary stages, and has been blessed by the dragon elders of the dragon clan, Fang's skill pool can be said to be very excellent. Currently, Fang's skills are grab, stare, bite, dragon dance, dragon voice encouragement, dragon claw, dragon tail, reverse scale, malicious pursuit. Grab, stare, and bite are the 3 skills that most of the Fangs can learn at birth, while malicious pursuit is learned by the Fangs during their growth. The remaining 5 dragon skills, dragon dance, dragon voice, dragon claw, dragon tail, and reverse scale, are all due to the dragon protection. After all, it is the secret art of the dragon controlling family that has been passed down for generations, plus the extremely luxurious quasi-god Linoop of the dragon elder for protection. It is not surprising that the Fangs have such a rich skill pool in their childhood. The pure dragon bloodline will definitely burst out with great power under the influence of the dragon protection. However, the skill pool is luxurious, but whether the Fangs can use it normally is another matter. You can refer to Xiaoxi's wave missile of the round shark. After all, it is not like in the game. As long as you learn the skills, you don't need to practice, and you don't need to worry about any proficiency. You can just use it directly. After understanding the basic information of the Fangs, let's return our perspective to the battlefield. Fujishu was also quite curious about the Yair sent by Wutong. After all, he was addicted to surfing, and had not been to many regions. Moreover, compared with the Unova region, the Alola region was more in line with his preferences, so Yair was a Pokémon he had never seen before. Makushita, gather your energy. Although Fujishu did not know Yair, it did not prevent him from attacking. After all, Yair did not look like a defensive Pokémon. In this case, he would use a fierce attack to decide the outcome. Hey. Makushita's squinting eyes were full of seriousness, and his mental power was highly concentrated. Yair, dragon dance. Wutong did not hesitate and chose to let Yair strengthen first. Jiwa. Yair jumped happily on the spot, and the look was exactly the same as Xiaoxi's crocodile. Red, yellow, and blue light rose around Yair, and then merged into Yair's body. This dragon dance. This was the first time that Yair used the dragon dance, and Wutong did not expect this kind of effect. It looked like a small dragon blessing. But he had clearly asked the Dragon Elder at the time, and Dragon Blessing should only be a one-time effect, which would allow unborn Pokémon to stimulate all their bloodline potential, making them healthier and stronger than Pokémon of the same period, but there would be no subsequent effects. So the performance of Yair's Dragon Dance now is worth thinking about. Could it be that Dragon Blessing affected Yair's flash power? After all, the flash power of Yair's parents is very productive, and has nothing to do with combat. It seems that Yair's flash power has also found a little clue, and the next step is to confirm it in detail later. Tengshu did not notice anything unusual about Yair's Dragon Dance display form. After all, the same skill will have completely different performance effects when used by different Pokémon. Anyway, no matter how gorgeous the special effects of Dragon Dance are, they only increase attack and speed. Makushita. Push. Fugishu once again commanded his Pokémon to launch the attack first. Hey. Makushita rushed to Yaya and pushed out with a palm. Yaya, grab. Wutong also came back to command. Jiwa. Yaya swung a claw from bottom to top. With the blessing of Dragon Dance, Yaya hid Makushita's push palm to one side with one claw. However, Makushita's push was not just one palm. After one palm missed, Makushita followed with another palm. After all, Yaya had little experience. After blocking the first attack, he was immediately happy and didn't pay attention to the second palm of Makushita that followed. Makushita's second palm hit Yaya's body firmly. Then the third palm, the fourth palm, the fifth palm, the continuous push palm hit Yaya's body like a storm. Yaya was panicked and didn't know what to do. Yaya, calm down. Dragon Claw. Wutong shouted hurriedly. At this time, the clawing was no longer able to break the situation. The Dragon Tail and the reverse scale of Yaya were not completely mastered, so they could only rely on the Dragon Claws to fight back. Jiwa. The blue-purple energy on Yaya's two small claws extended. Although the extension was very small, it also successfully used the Dragon Claws. Yaya twisted his body with difficulty and grabbed the Makuhita with one claw. Makuhita rolled flexibly and rolled to the side of Yaya. He pushed out with one palm again and knocked Yaya out. Jiwa. Yaya, who was knocked out, stood up again. His pupils contracted and shouted angrily. At this time, the dignity of the dragon in its blood made it unable to tolerate its failure. Good fighting spirit. Makuhita, let it see our perseverance. Use your strength. Fujiki commanded. Hey. Makuhita rushed directly to Yaya. At this time, there was still a small electric current wrapped around its body, which was left by the last battle. But Makuhita also has the perseverance trait. Paralysis will not stop it, but will only make its attack more fierce. Yeah, Dragon Claw. Wutong commanded. Jiwa. Yeah roared, and the dragon power burst out with all its strength. The blue-purple energy claws appeared and waved towards Makuhita. Makuhita pushed out with all its strength and slapped Yaya's Dragon Claw. A burst of energy rushed out. Yaya did not retreat at all and continued to push against Makuhita. Makuhita, push hard. Fujiki was certainly not afraid of a head-on battle. Hey. Makuhita pushed out with his other palm. Yaya, bite its palm. Wutong issued an unexpected command. Yaya started to execute Wutong's command without thinking. Wutong showed an expression of as expected. When Yaya's pupils changed, Wutong knew that Yaya's current state and desire for victory would make it attack desperately, as long as it could help it win. For trainers, this is good or bad, just like a double-edged sword. After all, such Pokémon will unconditionally execute their orders, but at the same time, this will often put Pokémon in a very dangerous state. The price of a bad victory is to lose the ability to fight in the future. It seems that when commanding Yaya to fight in the future, you should pay attention to tactical issues. The desperate tactics cannot be used easily. After all, other Pokémon can only exchange injuries for injuries, but Yaya will really fight you to the death. Just like Wutong's command this time, Wutong's other Pokémon should dodge to a certain extent and try to bite the palm of the Makuhita from the side. But Yaya is completely my face, but I must bite your palm. It's really too irritable, just like an irrational berserker. In the battlefield, Yaya bit the palm pushed by Makuhita without hesitation. Although the strong bite force made Makuhita feel pain, Yaya's head also suffered a strong impact. Yaya, malicious pursuit. Wutong certainly would not miss this opportunity to command. Jiwa. Yaya bit Makuhita's palm and pushed forward with the horn on his head. Makuhita, whose palm was bitten by Yaya, suddenly lost the ability to dodge. The half-baked soft secret practiced by surfing lost its effect at this moment. Makuhita was directly knocked to the ground. Yaya suddenly got the hang of it. Without Wutong's command, Yaya decisively rode on Makuhita's body and grabbed Makuhita with two claws left and right. Makuhita, hold on. Fugishu shouted hurriedly. At this time, the palms of the Makuhita Rikishi were free again, and his two hands crossed in front of him, resisting the attack of Yaya, while the dark red light on the Makuhita Rikishi slowly flickered. Yaya, get back. Wutong guessed what Fujishu wanted to do and quickly commanded. Too late. Makuhita Rikishi. Survived from a desperate situation. Fujishu shouted. Hey. Makuhita Rikishi, who had injured to the limit, swung his arms violently, breaking the attack of Yair, and a burst of energy burst out from the Makuhita Rikishi's body. Yair was directly blown away. Yair, who fell to the ground, twitched twice, and then climbed up with difficulty. In the animation, Xiaozhi's Bokugu climbed up. I have received the protection of the dragon, and the top level cultivated Yair can climb up now, right? Makuhita Rikishi also stood up, but his body was still shaking. At this time, both Pokémon had reached their limits, and they were all supported by willpower. At this time, something strange happened. A dazzling white light suddenly appeared on the body of Makuhita. After the white light, Makuhita successfully evolved into Iron Palm. Did the evolution come early because of the battle with Yair? It seems that Yair put a lot of pressure on it. Wutong thought secretly in his heart, and even wanted to smile a little on his face. After all, this also proved Yair's excellent talent in combat. However, Wutong stopped laughing immediately, because a second white light appeared in the battlefield. After witnessing the evolution of Makuhita Rikishi, Yair was filled with strong unwillingness in his heart. It didn't want to lose. If the opponent could evolve, so could it. Holy shit. That's not right. Wutong saw the light coming out of Yair's body, hurriedly took out the Pokémon illustrated book, and then frantically pressed a button on it. Yair, who was about to forcibly evolve, suddenly felt a restraint, and its evolution was cancelled directly. Wow. Yair looked at his little claws in confusion. What's going on? Why hasn't it evolved? P.S. In the Pokémon Special Chapter Comics, the Pokémon illustrated book has this function. The protagonist of the yellow chapter, Xiao Huang, has been using this function to prevent his Pokémon from evolving from the beginning. In addition, this is a feature of the game function, so Binky thinks that the Pokémon illustrated book and the animation can also have this function, but no one has ever used it. Sorry, Tengshu, we gave up in this game. Wutong said helplessly as he looked at Yair. Wow. Yair looked at Wutong in disbelief. What's going on? Trainer, why did you surrender first? I know, but it was such an excellent battle. It's hard to imagine that this is the first battle between these two Pokémon. Fujishu also understood what Wutong was thinking. Thank you for your understanding. If possible, could you please give me a quiet room? I think I should have a good meeting for my little guy. Wutong looked at Yair seriously and said, wow. Yair couldn't help but swallowed a mouthful of saliva as he looked at Wutong's serious eyes. What's going on? Why does he feel like his trainer is very angry? Of course Wutong would not let Yair go to the meeting with an injury, so after treating Li Yang and Yair first, Wutong took the two Pokémon to the room prepared by Tengshu. First of all, let me talk about Li Yang. You performed very well in today's battle, but I hope you won't be so shy in the next battle. Although cotton defense is miraculous, it is easy to be cracked and has too many limitations. Wutong took the lead said. Barbarly Sheep called out shyly, indicating that it would pay attention in the future. Then there is something special that happened when you last used the electric shock. Do you still remember the feeling at that time? Wutong asked. What? Li Yang tilted his head in confusion and then fell into thinking. It doesn't matter, just think back to that time, and it felt good. Wutong said. The sheep screamed obediently and then huddled up. Electricity flashed through the wall from time to time. It seemed that the sheep was looking for that feeling. Yair knew it was his turn and raised his little head proudly. He felt that if Wutong hadn't given up, he would have won, so Wutong would definitely praise it. So, now that you have Yair, do you know where you went wrong? Wutong asked seriously. Wow. Yair was stunned. What's going on? The script is wrong. Very good. It seems you didn't realize your mistake at all. Tell me, what do you want to do at the end of the battle? Wutong asked. Wow. Transformation? Yair tilted his head and said uncertainly. He only knew that if he continued, he could become stronger. Transform into your own size. You want to consume your own potential and force evolution, right? Wutong directly gave Yair a bang and said. Wow. Yair covered his head and screamed in grievance. Makuhita Rikishi evolves, because it's time for it to evolve. How long has it been since you were born? You want to forcefully evolve. Where did you spend the energy? Wutong said. Hua? From light. Ye said again uncertainly. You still believe in Guang? You think you are Tigger? There is no Ultraman in the world. Wutong couldn't help shouting irritably. Wow. Ye's eyes instantly lost their brightness. Although it didn't know what Ultraman was, it still felt that its childhood had collapsed and it was going to turn black. You still want to go dark, right? Believe it or not, I will stop your future snacks. Wutong said. Well, the teeth were not even half blackened, but snacks were stopped midway and forced to stop the blackening. Wutong saw Ye's appearance and told Ye very seriously about the dangers of forced evolution. Do you know that if you consume your potential and force evolution now, it will affect your future? Do you think you won't be half as tall as a mealy sheep in the future? Wutong asked a soul-searching question. Jiwa. Ya panicked immediately. This was not okay. It still had to grow up to protect sister mealy sheep. They agreed to grow up together. It couldn't just stop growing halfway. Wutong was not lying to Ya. Just look at Leo Jiro. He evolved too early. When he first arrived at the Charizard Valley, he looked like a thin dog compared to other Charizards. He couldn't even compare to the Charizard girls. So Wutong absolutely could not allow Yaya's behavior. After telling Yaya about several terrible side effects and making sure that Yaya would never dare to try forced evolution again, Wutong nodded with satisfaction. Fortunately, Yaya was still a child and could still be saved. Chapter 505. After educating Ye, Wutong began to study the problem of Ye's flash power. First of all, it can be confirmed that Ye's flash power has changed because of the dragon protection held by the elders of the Dragon Control Clan. After all, the Spirit Egg period is the easiest to be affected. Even if the flash power changes, it is not incredible. But even so, Wutong thinks it is better to communicate with Professor Oak later. After all, the flash power is also a research topic of Professor Oak, and this change will definitely arouse Professor Oak's interest. As for why Wutong is sure that the Dragon Protection Ceremony has affected Ye's flash power, isn't it obvious? When Ye uses the Dragon Dance, it is obviously like a simplified version of the Dragon Protection Ceremony. Moreover, this obviously abnormal Dragon Dance could not be caused by Ye's talent. Ye's parents were not combat type Flash Force, so it could only be that the Dragon Protection Ceremony had an impact on Ye's Flash Force. Ye's Flash Force had changed, and it was a change in the direction of combat, which made Wutong feel very happy. After all, Ye is an excellent combat Pokémon, and Flash Force is particularly productive. It always feels a bit difficult for Wutong to accept. It's just that we don't know what the effect of Ye's Flash Force is yet, but there is no problem starting with Dragon Dance. After saying hello to Fujiki, Wutong borrowed the battlefield of the fighting dojo. It's already night, so there will be no challenges coming. Wutong can use the battlefield without any pressure. Let Liang continue to find his original feeling on the side, and Wutong began to study Ye. Ye, use Dragon Dance. Wutong commanded. Jiwa. Ye cried out, and the red, yellow, and blue lights rose up again, swelling around Ye, and then entering Ye's body. The special effects are indeed very different, but what about the specific effects? Wutong looked at Ye. According to her performance in the battle, the basic effect of Dragon Dance must have not changed. Dragon Dance can improve physical attack and speed, but judging from Ye's injuries during the battle, Dragon Dance did not improve Ye's defense. As for whether the special attack was improved, Wutong had no way to test it. After all, Ye didn't have any special attack skills now. There was no professional instrument for detecting Pokémon around, and Wutong was a little embarrassed. As for whether the original effect of Dragon Dance would be doubled, according to Wutong's experience, the bonus of Dragon Dance had not changed. Is it just the special effect that has changed? Wutong felt like he was in a deadlock. Jiwa Ye was full of energy again, jumping around in place. Wait a minute, Ye, use Dragon's voice. Wutong recalled something, and gave a command. Ye immediately followed Wutong's command. Jiwa. Ye's childish voice suddenly took on a hint of ancient rhythm, and the red, yellow, and blue colors appeared again, but this time they were wrapped around Ye from top to bottom. Yes, the effect of Dragon's voice should increase the chance of a Pokemon's critical hit, making it easier for Pokemon to find the opponent's vital points to attack. But now this special effect is obviously in line with Dragon Dance. Wutong felt like he had found the direction. Jawa. Yeah tilted his head, not knowing why his trainer was suddenly so excited. Yeah, used Dragon Dance and Dragon's voice at the same time. Wutong gave a decisive command. Jawa. Yeah once again made a call with an ancient rhythm, and at the same time, his feet began to dance unconsciously according to the rhythm. Two groups of red, yellow, and blue lights appeared above and below Yeah at the same time. Two groups of 3 color lights spun around Yeah and then collided with each other. At this time, a change occurred. After the collision, the 3 color lights turned into 3 energy dragons of red, yellow, and blue, flying around Yeah and then entering Yeah's body together. Yeah radiated a bluish purple light. That's right. I was right. Found it. Wutong couldn't help but shout happily. Yeah, who was radiating bluish purple light, felt like he had become a god of war. Now, when facing the Iron Palm warrior, Yeah felt that he could jump up and blow it away. This is a delusion. Melly sheep, use electric shock on Yeah. Wutong suddenly said as he looked at Yeah's condition. Melly? Melly sheep poked his head out of the wool, with a look of dissatisfaction on his face. Solution. It's okay, just testing Yeah's current state. Wutong said. Liang nodded, and then used electric shock on Yeah. Of course, Liang still deliberately controlled the strength, and did not use all his strength. The current fell on Yeah, and Yeah's body trembled and was injured, but the injury was much smaller than expected. Is it really like this? Yeah, Dragon Claw. Wutong said to Yeah again. Jawa. Yeah used Dragon Claw. Obviously, it did not burst out with full strength, but the scale of Dragon Claw at this time was no different from the full burst just now. Run. Wutong continued to command. Jawa. Yeah started running immediately, and the speed was obviously greatly improved. It seems that it should be a comprehensive improvement. The effect of Dragon Voice encouragement should also exist, that is, the overall ability is improved plus the critical hit rate is improved. Wutong stroked his chin and muttered to himself. Although the flash power is completely different from Swampet's, there is no doubt that Yeah's flash power is also very effective in combat. After Wutong directed Yeah to conduct several tests, Wutong completely confirmed his guess. The flash power stimulated by the combination of Dragon Dance and Dragon Voice encouragement has no effect when any of the skills are used alone. This unique way of stimulation gave Wutong a new idea. It seems that there is still a lot of potential for the flash power to be explored. At this time, the blue-purple light on Yeah's body suddenly dissipated, and Yeah also lay on the ground with a tired face. Is there a time limit? Or is Yeah's current ability not enough to use the flash power for a long time? Wutong looked at Yeah lying on the ground, and continued to think. Wutong felt that it was most likely the latter, just like when he first met Platypus. When it was still a duck-billed baby, Platypus could not control its flash power and often spontaneously combusted. Take a break first, Yeah. Wutong said and looked at the sheep. Yeah's flash power has been confirmed, so can we directly study the flash power of Liang? Liang still curled up and tried to mobilize energy, and a trace of electricity passed through Liang's wool from time to time. Liang stuck his head out and shook it. Wutong looked at Liang and fell into deep thought. After a few seconds, Wutong thought of something. Since Yeah's flash power needs to rely on skills to use, is it possible that Liang's flash power relies on its own characteristics? After all, Liang's electric shock doesn't seem to have any special effects, and the power of the last electric shock increased. Wutong felt more like activating the characteristics. Liang's characteristic is positive electricity, and the effect is that, if the teammates who appear have positive or negative electric characteristics, Liang's special attack will increase. Liang, try to decompose the current you control. The current should be composed of 2 different smaller electricity. Try to control only one of them. Wutong tried to guide. There was no way. Wutong himself was not a top student. When he was in high school, he even scored 8 points in physics. Now he can still remember positive and negative charges. It's good. He couldn't and didn't have the ability to explain to Mi Liang what positive and negative electricity are. He could only try to guide Mi Liang with his vague knowledge. Sure enough, it's not a joke to learn math, physics and chemistry well, and travel all over the world. Now he actually encountered difficulties because of physics. Wutong felt uncomfortable. Many? After hearing Wutong's words, Mi Liang called out as if he understood. According to Wutong, Mi Liang tried to distinguish different currents, closed his eyes, and deeply felt the current. Mi Liang felt as if he could really control part of it. A blue electric current flashed on the wool of the melee sheep. The next second, the blue electric light on the melee sheep was dancing, like countless twisting snakes. Success. Wutong said as he looked at the melee sheep that released the blue electric current. Melee sheep stopped releasing the current and called Wutong happily. Not bad. Melee sheep, try releasing the current normally. Wutong commanded. Melee sheep called, and the yellow current appeared. Let's release two currents at the same time. Wutong continued to command. Melee sheep responded and began to try. Obviously, it is still very difficult to release two different currents at the same time. After a while, the yellow and blue currents flowed on the melee sheep at the same time. Merge them together. Wutong said. Melee sheep continued to try, and the yellow and blue currents began to entangle and fuse, and then suddenly became several times thicker, and at the same time, made a violent crackling sound. Melee found that she could not control it, so she could only forcibly cut off the current. The remaining yellow and blue currents were out of control, and they entangled and exploded instantly. It's really powerful, but it's also very dangerous. After the explosion, Wutong looked at Melee who had lost consciousness. It seems that Melee's flash power should be able to actively manipulate negative electricity, and by manipulating negative electricity, to echo its own positive characteristics, it can cause explosive damage. It's just that this flash power is somewhat unphysical, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, the world of Pokémon itself is unphysical, and Newton's coffin can't be covered here. In any case, today is a fruitful day for Wutong. The flash power of Melee and Yaya has been roughly determined. Although the two Pokémon will have a long way to go before they can activate their flash force normally, a road with a goal and direction is always better than darkness. In addition, both Melee and Fang have flash force that is very suitable for combat, which makes Wutong very happy. The flash force of Melee and Fang is also in line with their own positioning. In this case, the training plan decided by Wutong before basically does not need to be changed. The main thing is to add practice on the use of flash force. Melee can basically be determined to master various electric skills, and then can freely control the use of flash force, and then learn a few responsive skills. If nothing unexpected happens, Melee will become an excellent lightning turret. As for Fang, she has a super buff skill generated by flash force, which is just like Kakarot's ultra instinct. What Wutong needs to do is to make Yaya's foundation so solid that no one can match it. This kind of terrifying basic quality plus the comprehensive improvement of the power of flash can completely make Yaya develop in the direction of a berserker. It seems that I still need to contact Professor Oak. Wutong took Yaya and Melee back into the Pokéball and took out the Pokémon portable transmission device. Without hesitation, Wutong directly transmitted Yaya and Melee to Professor Oak. After transmitting the Pokémon, Wutong returned to his room. After all, the power of flash is still a hidden research. Wutong still needs to be careful. After returning to the room, Wutong called out the mobile phone Rotom and dialed Professor Oak's contact. After the ringtone rang a few times, Professor Oak holding a bowl of instant noodles appeared on the screen of the mobile phone Rotom. What's wrong, Xiaotong, calling me at this time? Professor Oak asked while slurping noodles. Drive Oak, I transferred Yaya and Melee sheep. Wutong said straight to the point. Melee sheep and Yaya? What happened to those two little guys? Dr. Oak asked curiously. That's right, Dr. Oak. I hope you can help me conduct a comprehensive inspection and data analysis on them. I have a new discovery today, Wutong replied. New discovery? Is it related to the power of flash? Dr. Oak put down the instant noodles in his hand and asked sharply. Yes, Dr. Oak, I found that there may be many ways to activate the power of flash. Wutong said. Multiple activation ways? After hearing what Wutong said, Dr. Oak began to think. Yes, in fact, today, Wutong did not hide and began to tell Dr. Oak about his challenge to the martial arts gym today and what happened afterwards. The fusion of dragon dance and dragon voice encouragement, manipulating negative electricity to autonomously activate its own positive characteristics. It's really a great discovery. This provides a direction for the research of the power of Flash. Well done, Xiaozhi. Dr. Oak praised happily. It's just a coincidence. Also, I think the flash power of Pokémon in the Pokémon egg may be affected by the outside world and change. Oh yeah. Wutong also told about Ye receiving the blessing of the dragon and the flash power of Ye's parents. Will there be such a thing? This is also a good discovery. Ha 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 ha. Xiaozhi, you might as well become a researcher. You will definitely become an excellent Pokémon doctor. Dr. Oak said happily. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 506. The weather was very hot, but the weather was very hot. In the early morning of Wudao Town, Wutong and Tengshu stood on the beach and did warm-up exercises together. Wutong and Tengshu agreed to train with him for 2 days. After the training, Wutong and Tengshu will have another main battle, and then Tengshu will give Wutong the boxing badge. Liang and Ye have not been transmitted back after being transmitted to Dr. Oak last night because Wutong wants Dr. Oak to carefully test the two little guys. At the same time, let Dr. Oak study the new direction of the flash power. After all, the flash power of Liang and Ye is different from the previous ones. By the way, Wutong also exchanged his main Pokémon, replacing Infernape, Beedrill, Squirtle, and Ditto with Swampert, Crowhead, Turtle, and Frog. Behind Wutong and Fugishu, Swampert and Ironclad also stood side by side, doing warm-up exercises with the two. After the warm-up, today's special training began. Okay, the warm-up is over. So, let's go surfing. Fugishu said happily, taking out a surfboard from somewhere. Ah, is this special training? Wutong asked with a puzzled look on his face. In fact, he wanted to know where Fugishu took out the surfboard. Did he also have a 4-dimensional chrysanthemum? Of course, my soft secret was realized in surfing. Ironclad, let's go. Fugishu answered affirmatively, and then rushed to the sea with Ironclad. Well, everyone has their own special way, but I didn't bring Ditto. Wutong said helplessly, holding his forehead. Rag? Swampert called to Wutong, asking if they wanted to follow. Let's go, we have to give it a try anyway. It's a good opportunity for you to practice your energy control now. You have a high burst now, but the control is too rough. Wutong said to Swampert, and tapped his shadow with his toes. Wutong's shadow suddenly stretched out, and a surfboard floated out. Wutong still has a real surfboard, but who would want to use this ordinary surfboard after using the fully automatic Ditto surfboard? Rag? Swampert said it. You don't need it, just go in and start surfing. You have to make sure you can always be at the highest point of the waves, and keep the waves rising and falling. If you can't keep it, start again. Wutong said harshly. Rag? Swampert showed an expression of disbelief on his face. Don't think that what Wutong said is very simple. Although surfing is called surfing, Wutong thinks it is more like raising a wall of water under the body to carry oneself to the opposite side. After all, the waves raised by surfing do not have a large arc, and most of the Pokémon using surfing are on the wave crest because of the sudden thrust, and basically 1/3 to 1/4 of their bodies are in the water. And Wutong hopes that Swampert can really surf, that is, it steps on the waves, rather than the waves pushing it, which requires Swampert to have a very delicate control of energy. Don't have that expression. I remember your hometown should be nearby. I will take you back to see it during the break. Maybe you can see your old friends. Wutong said. Rag? Swampert shouted happily. Wutong also walked to the seaside with Swampert, and at this time, Fugishu and Iron Palm Warrior rushed towards the wave. However, because the Iron Palm Warrior had just evolved, he seemed to be not very adaptable. When he boarded the board for the first time, he couldn't find balance and fell into the water. The Fugishu who successfully boarded the wave kept shaking his body. It didn't look like he was looking for balance, but he was deliberately swaying with the waves. The secret of softness? It seems to be very different from Take-Eye, but it should be used as a reference. Wutong looked at Fugishu in special training and said to himself, "Rag." Swampert rushed up directly and came up without hesitation and surfed with all his strength. With the blessing of the sea, a huge wave rose up instantly, and Swampert was half of his body stuck in the waves. "Hey, wait. Don't come over." Fugishu's eyes were about to pop out when he saw a huge wave coming towards him, and he couldn't help shouting. However, can Fugishu stop it just by saying it? The waves under Fugishu were directly smashed and merged by the huge waves raised by Swampert. "Hi. I finally emerged from the waves on my surfboard." The Iron Palm warrior who was standing on the beach could not help but let out a cry when he saw the huge waves coming in front of him. "Rest in peace, Tengshu, Master Ziba, RC, and I will miss you." Seeing Tengshu and the Iron Palm warrior disappear from the water, Wutong put the surfboard aside and said with his hands clasped together, "I am still alive. Well, cough cough, come, help, cough cough." A voice suddenly appeared. Wutong looked over and saw Tengshu lying on the beach with the Iron Palm warrior whose head was still stuck in the sea. Rag Swampert appeared from the sea with an embarrassed look on his face and then pulled the Iron Palm warrior out. "Swampert, help it drain the water," Wutong said helplessly. Rag Swampert nodded and punched the Iron Palm warrior in the stomach. Puff. A column of water rose into the air, congratulating the Iron Palm warrior for learning how to use a water gun. "Ah, you, forget it. Anyway, the Iron Palm warrior is strong enough." Wutong wanted to stop it, but it was over, so he could only let it go. "Hey." The Iron Palm warrior suddenly opened his eyes and screamed in fear. Rag Swampert apologized to the Iron Palm warrior embarrassedly. "Wutong, your Swampert should go to a farther place for special training. It's too dangerous." Fugishu also slowed down and said to Wutong, Sorry, Swampert is not very good at controlling energy, but if it controls power, it is very good." Wutong also said embarrassedly, Anyway, if it still wants to practice like it just now, it must find a place where there is no one. I don't want any missing people to appear in Wudao Town." Fugishu said seriously. Okay, then let Swampert practice surfing first." Wutong mainly listened to advice. After a short break, to ease the psychological trauma of being thrown into the sea by the sudden huge waves, Fugishu and Iron Palm set off again. Wutong and Swampert followed because they could not practice surfing for the time being, but had to surf for real, so Swampert also reported a surfboard. The two Pokémon began to challenge the waves. Wutong and Swampert also imitated Fugishu and Iron Palm, trying to follow the rhythm of the waves. Wutong's body was stiff, and it was better to say that he forced his body to sway than to say it was a rhythm. He couldn't keep up with the beat at all, let alone the rhythm, and it was not easy to move. Swampert adapted very smoothly. After all, Swampert's flash power is muscle control. As long as there are muscles on the body, Swampert can freely control it. So Swampert quickly mastered the feeling of this special training with the rhythm of the waves. Swampert felt like he understood something, but also like he didn't understand anything. During the lunch break, Wutong lay on the beach panting. This special training of the secret of softness was much more tiring than he had imagined. This was different from the training of Hiba and Mazishi, which drained every bit of physical strength. Wutong needed to maintain a high level of concentration at all times and carefully control his body. Rag. Swampert stood beside Wutong, as if nothing had happened and called out in concern. "It's okay, give me 2 more minutes, and I'll take you to the Waterleap Swamp," Wutong said. Although Dr. Adamaki was used to cultivating the initial Pokémon himself and handing them over to new trainers, Wutong's Swampert was different. It was hatched and cultivated by Nomata of the Waterleap Swamp and then entrusted to Dr. Adamaki because it was a shiny Pokémon. So the Waterleap Swamp on the Fighting Island is the hometown of Swampert. After resting for 2 minutes, Wutong recovered, said hello to Fugishu, and left with Swampert first. because Wutong didn't know the exact location of the Waterleap Swamp, and the place where the 3 starters were cultivated would definitely be relatively secret. So Wutong could only rely on the clues in the animation and ask Rotom Mobile to search for it. However, the clues were too scarce, so Rotom Mobile couldn't find the place Wutong wanted to go. Helplessly, Wutong could only take Swampert back to the special training site on the beach. As for Swampert, there was nothing sad. After all, as a shiny Pokémon, its life in the tribe was not very good. Although because they were all artificially raised, and most of them were young Waterleaps, and Swampert himself was very strong, Swampert was not bullied in the Waterleap Swamp. However, the exclusion of the Waterleap tribe was inevitable. Swampert, who had always been accompanied by loneliness, might only miss Nomata as the administrator. Back to the beach, Fujiki and Iron Palm Warrior have started a new round of warm-up. The afternoon training is no longer the secret of softness, it is a secret of hardness. Wutong is of course ready to learn it together. Wutong has determined that Tengshu's secret of softness can be used as an introduction to studying Teikai. Teikai is a fighting method that can attack and defend, and it is performed with the meaning of Teikai yin and yang. Tengshu's secret of softness is mainly a defensive technique. Attack with softness, but there is no counter-attack technique, but this is enough for the current giant Swampert. At least there is a stepping stone. Wutong is also looking forward to Tengshu's secret of hardness in the afternoon. Since the secret of softness can be used as a stepping stone for Teikai, can the secret of hardness allow Wutong to find a way to get started with Badger-kun? In the afternoon special training, Tengshu took Wutong to a new location, a more desolate cliff. Tengshu walked to the side of the cliff, slapped his hand on the cliff and said, "This is the training of the secret of hardness in the afternoon." Wutong looked at the cliff, and there were 2 clear handprints on it. Wutong couldn't help but look at Tengshu. "Iron Palm Warrior, show it," Tengshu said as he made way. "Hey." The Iron Palm Warrior walked to the stone wall and slapped out with his palm. There was a dull sound when his palm hit the stone wall. The Iron Palm Warrior hadn't finished his palm yet, so he pushed hard and started to slap the stone wall one palm after another. "Is this your secret of strength?" Wutong asked. "Yes, the secret of strength is to be strong from the beginning to the end and use violent attacks to make the enemy unable to defend," Tengshu said confidently. Wutong scratched his head as he looked at the Iron Palm Warrior who was still pushing hard against the stone wall. This secret of strength was not what he expected. Badger-kun mainly focuses on the release of strength, the bright strength, the dark strength and the transformation of strength. Wait a minute, the release of strength? Wutong suddenly fell into thought. If I remember correctly, there is a skill called Fajin in the fighting skills. Although it is impossible to be the same thing, can Fajin help Swampert find the way to practice Badger-kun? "Hey, Wutong, what's wrong with you? Are you scared?" Fujishu asked. "Are you kidding? Would I be scared? I'm super brave. I was just thinking, your Iron Palm Warrior can use Fajin, right?" Wutong asked. "Yes, but Iron Palm Warrior has less practice of Fajin," Fujishu said. "It doesn't matter, can you please let Iron Palm Warrior use Fajin a few times for my Swampert to see?" Wutong asked. "You don't want Iron Palm Warrior to teach Swampert Fajin?" Fujishu asked doubtfully. It's not that Fujishu is stingy and doesn't want Iron Palm Warrior to teach Swampert, but Swampert simply can't learn Fajin. "No, I know Swampert can't learn Fajin. I just want to test something." Wutong shook his head and said, "Okay, Iron Palm, use the power." Fujishu nodded and directed. "Hey." Iron Palm nodded, turned around and took a deep breath towards the stone wall, then pushed out with one palm. A shock wave was sent out along Iron Palm's palm, and it appeared with a bang. "How is it? This is the power. The power is very good, but it is difficult to control, and it requires a certain degree of power accumulation, which is difficult to use," Fujishu said. "Swampert, do you understand?" Wutong asked. "Rag?" Swampert was confused. "Trainer, do you want to listen to what you are saying?" "Okay, Fujishu, please let Iron Palm use the power a few more times." "Swampert, go and feel the muscle movement and strength movement when Iron Palm uses the power," Wutong said to Swampert. "Rag?" Swampert still didn't seem to understand. "Put your hand on Iron Palm's arm," Feel it carefully, and then see if you can manipulate your muscles to imitate it. Wutong explained carefully. Fujishu listened thoughtfully. Wutong's idea was indeed very strange. Rag. Swampert gave a thumbs up to show that he understood. Swampert immediately came to the side of the Iron Palm Warrior and carefully stroked the Iron Palm Warrior's arm. Hey! Iron Palm Warrior shouted in shock. Family, who understands? I came out for special training today and met a pervert. Chapter 507. The old man was so angry that he was touched by Swampert. Iron Palm Warrior was so furry by Swampert's touch that he subconsciously slapped Swampert on the body, sending out a shockwave, and the defenseless Swampert was directly knocked out. Rag. Swampert climbed up and shouted at Wutong aggrievedly. I asked you to feel the power generating skills, not to be a pervert. Wutong also said speechlessly, covering his face. Iron Palm Warrior was also sure at this time that Swampert was not a pervert, but simply full of wisdom. Hey! Iron Palm Warrior waved at Swampert, then pointed at his arm. Swampert walked over unhappily, and then looked at the arm of the Iron Palm Warrior in the direction that the Iron Palm Warrior pointed. Hey! The Iron Palm Warrior used his power again, but this time he slowed down the rhythm to make it easier for Swampert to observe. Swampert also began to imitate and slap out, carefully observing the whole body muscle movement of the Iron Palm Warrior when he used the power, and Swampert also began to manipulate his muscles to copy. However, Swampert found that, although it could replicate the movement of muscles, it could not generate energy. It was like getting a unique martial arts, learning the moves, but not the corresponding mental method. It was just an empty frame. Wutong knew it was time for him to play, so he walked up to Swampert and said, Swampert, do you remember the B-Drill's burst technique that I asked you to practice? Try using that technique to accumulate some strength, but the whole process must be fast, otherwise the energy will dissipate a lot. Rag. Swampert nodded. It had also learned B-Drill's breath of speed, but because it had no way to retain strength, the energy loss was too serious, and it was completely impossible to use it as a buff like B-Drill. Even if it was used to burst and amplify other skills, the excessive energy consumption was completely disproportionate to the benefits, and forcibly using it would only be a loss. However, after learning the muscle movement of exerting strength, Swampert felt that he might have found the fastest way to release the accumulated strength. Although there would still be a certain amount of energy loss, it was definitely much smaller than the previous usage. Swampert took a deep breath and directly squatted in the same toilet position as when he transformed into a Super Saiyan. His muscles bulged and began to vibrate. Swampert's body temperature rose rapidly, and he controlled his muscles to move according to the technique of exerting strength, and slapped out with one palm. With a loud bang, the entire stone wall vibrated with a strong shock wave that spread in all directions. The next second, with the position where Swampert's palm touched the stone wall as the center, cracks spread out in all directions. The Iron Palm Warrior on the side couldn't help but open his eyes wide. What's going on? Is the strength so strong? Is this power so strong? Wutong was shocked by the power of Swampert's palm, but soon Wutong found something wrong. Is this still considered exerting strength? Fujiki said in shock. Wutong approached the crack, and there was a faint wind coming out from behind the stone wall. No, the back of this stone wall is not solid. Swampert, try again. Wutong said decisively. Rag. Swampert felt a little tired at this time, but his spirit was particularly excited. He accumulated strength again and slapped out with his palm again. This time, the stone wall was directly broken, revealing a hole. I can't use it in actual combat yet. It takes too long to accumulate strength, and it's all flaws. It seems that I have to practice more before I can use it. Wutong said, looking at the hole in front of him, and the Swampert next to him. But this should be considered to have touched the threshold of Mingjin of Bajiquan. The next step is to train more, at least to be able to use it normally in combat. I didn't expect there was a cave behind this. Fujishu said curiously. Because there is a cave behind, the stone wall is not particularly thick. Fujishu's Iron Palm Warrior has been training here all the time. The stone wall behind that handprint is actually a little fragile, so it can be cracked by Swampert and broken twice. Wutong said. But no matter what, let's go in and take a look. Exploration is also very interesting, Fujishu said very openly. Chapter 508. The cave was opened, but the scene was not clear. Wutong looked at the cave entrance in front of him and began to wonder if it matched the plot. After thinking about it, there was only one possibility, that is, the prayer shrine that Team Magma and Team Aqua accidentally discovered when they were looking for the awakening temple. However, because the plot did not clearly explain the specific location of the prayer shrine, Wutong was not very interested in it, so he did not look for it. I didn't expect to find this prayer shrine by accident when I came out for special training with Fujiki. Wutong and Fujiki walked into the cave with Swampert and Iron Palm. There was a natural cave inside. Although it was a cave, it was not dark. I don't know where the light source came from, so that the surrounding environment could be seen clearly in the cave. Walking in the cave, the ground was a little damp, and occasionally a few small puddles could be seen. Swampert seemed very comfortable in this humid environment. Moving forward casually in the cave, a square stone tower appeared in front of several people. It looks like an undiscovered relic, Wutong said. Relics? Let's go in and take a look. Maybe we can get something, Fujishu said. Adventure is also one of his favorite things. Let's go, but be careful not to cause damage. It's better to contact professionals to conduct research later, Wutong said. Wutong and Fujishu approached the stone tower. In front of the entrance of the stone tower, there was a stone platform with two circular grooves on it. It seemed that this was originally a place to place something. Wutong looked at the size of the circular grooves on it and thought to himself, could it be that the vermilion and indigo gems are placed? Could this be the original place where Groudon and Kyogre were worshipped? Seeing Wutong was silent, Tengshu thought Wutong had discovered something, so he asked, "What's wrong, Wutong? Do you recognize what ruins are here? It looks like a tower used for ancient sacrifices. This stone platform should be used to place sacrifices." Wutong replied directly. "Sacrifices, but I didn't bring anything. How about a surfboard? Maybe the god being sacrificed likes surfing." Tengshu took out his surfboard and asked at some point, So where did you get your surfboard from? Let me do it." Wutong stopped Tengshu and said, "Sacrificial surfboards and the like. Which brain did Tengshu use to come up with it?" After Wutong finished speaking, the shadow extended some fruits, which were one of the usual snacks of dream demons. Wutong put the fruits on the stone platform, and sure enough, nothing happened. "Do I have to make a wish?" Tengshu asked. "You thought it was a wishing well, where you can make a wish by throwing a coin. Forget it. I hope you can let me be a hero for once," Wutong said casually. "Not bad. It's a great wish." Tengshu affirmed Wutong's wish. But there is no reaction. "Let's go. We don't know how long we have been inside. It may be dangerous to go in casually. Let's go out and contact professionals to excavate the ruins," Wutong said. After seeing the stone tower, Tengshu no longer had any idea of taking risks. After all, the stone tower in front of him was not a place for adventure. The two left the stone tower directly and walked out of the cave. After the two left, a purple onion flew out from behind the stone tower and landed near the stone platform. It ate the fruit left on the stone platform without any scruples, while looking at the direction where Wutong and Tengshu left. Chapter 509. After leaving the prayer temple, Wutong contacted Xiaomei directly. "Hey, you're in trouble again so soon. It seems that your trip is not going well," Xiaomei teased as soon as he got through. "No way. The protagonist will always be accompanied by trouble, but this time it's not trouble, but something good is looking for you. You shouldn't have left Gumui Town yet," Wutong replied easily. "Yes. Do you have something to ask Dr. Metz?" Xiaomei asked. "Yes, I'm in Wudao Town now, and I accidentally found an ancient relic nearby. I guess it should be an ancient prayer temple. But I'm not a professional after all, so I want to ask Dr. Metz to take a look," Wutong said. "Newly discovered ruins. How exciting. Xiaomei and I will rush over tomorrow." Metz's voice came from the Rotom mobile phone. "That's it. See you tomorrow." The next second, Xiaomei's voice came from the Rotom mobile phone. "Okay, see you tomorrow," Wutong said and hung up the call. I've contacted the professionals and will come tomorrow, but before that, let's notify Miss Junsha to protect this place. Otherwise it will be bad if someone who doesn't know enters and causes damage. Wutong said to Fujishu. Well, you make sense. Leave this to me. But today's special training should not be able to continue. Fujishu looked at the sky that had begun to darken and said. Wutong and Fujishu returned to the fighting gym together. After resting for a while, having dinner, and taking care of his Pokémon, Fujishu couldn't wait to drag Wutong to the battle site. Didn't we agree to fight after the special training? Wutong said helplessly as he looked at Fujishu, who was eager to try. Of course I remember, but there's nothing to do, so let's practice. You've learned from Mr. Shiba, so you know a little bit of fighting skills. Fujishu said. Wutong understood. Fujishu didn't want to fight, he just wanted to experience the human sandbag. Can I refuse? Wutong asked expressionlessly. How can a fighter who has already stood in the battlefield retreat? Fujishu said as he posed. Seeing Fujishu in front of him not wearing his short-sleeved and beach shorts that can be used for surfing at any time, but wearing a suit suitable for fighting, Wutong knew that Fujishu, the bastard, had planned it in advance. Really, if I refuse here, Master Shiba will probably swim over from the Kanto region and take me back for special training, if he knows about it. Wutong scratched his head helplessly and complained. Ha 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 ha, if Mr. Shiba hears this, he will probably come and take you for special training. Fujishu followed with a joke. So I can only accept your challenge, but let me make it clear first, I'm very weak. Wutong said and posed. At this time, a white light flashed from Wutong's waist, and a big bird with pink feathers and a crown like a gentleman's hat appeared behind Wutong. Gaga. Wutong, you simpact. The rebellious crowhead found that his trainer was going to fight and decisively ran out of the Pokeball, waving his wings and shouting. Wutong's forehead suddenly bulged with blue veins. Very good, this rebellious son started again. The plan has changed, crowhead. Tailwind. Wutong did not hesitate at all, jumped back directly, jumped to the command position, and shouted at the same time. Gap. Crowhead subconsciously started to act after hearing Wutong's command. His body hovered above the battlefield, and the airflow entangled Crowhead's body. Wutong, you are really changeable, but it doesn't matter, come out with a super strength. Bodybuilding. Tengshu said when he saw Wutong running back to the command position. The muscular brother with 4 arms appeared on the field and started to perform various bodybuilding movements directly on the spot. Tengshu did not stay at the battle site and retreated to the command position. Seeing that Tengshu actually called out the super strength instead of the Iron Palm wrestler, Wutong was a little curious. Of course, the Iron Palm wrestler here was not the newly evolved Iron Palm wrestler who surfed with Tengshu, but the Iron Palm wrestler who should be Tengshu's main force. After all, Tengshu would definitely not become the gym leader with a MQ hitter wrestler as the main force. In addition, Tengshu's fighting gym was not inherited, so Tengshu's strength would definitely not be too weak. Otherwise Wutong could we really have to question the ability of the alliance in the Hone region. Crow leader, brave bird fierce attack. Wutong was too lazy to use the quality combo and directly let Crow leader start a fierce attack. After a day of special training, Wutong was very tired. How could he have the energy to accompany Fujishu, who seemed to have unlimited physical strength, to play? Just do it with force and disperse early. Strange power. Use the force to throw. Fujishu chose to take advantage of Wutong's fierce attack. Strange power slightly opened its 4 hands and aimed at Crow leader. At the moment when Crow leader, who turned into a giant energy bird, approached, strange power stretched out 4 hands at the same time. However, Crow leader's flash power made it basically invincible in speed at the same level. This is not only the speed of flying, but also the reaction speed and skill release speed, etc. So Crow leader directly dodged strange power's 2 hands by turning sideways. Although strange power grabbed Crow leader with the other 2 hands, strange power could not hold it firmly because half of his hands were missing. Not only did Guili fail to use the force to throw Crowhead to the ground, but he was also carried away by Crowhead. Crowhead was not polite either and directly made a big turn, circled around and hit Guili. You are still fighting so late. When did you become so hardworking? Are you influenced by senior brother Tengshu, Wutong? A familiar voice suddenly appeared. Wutong and Tengshu looked over and saw Xiaomao and Metz walking towards them. Drive Metz couldn't wait, so we came directly, Xiaomao said. Chapter 510. The arrival of Xiaomao and Metz interrupted the battle between Wutong and Tengshu. Of course, this was because Xiaomao saw that the two did not fight seriously at all. Otherwise, how could Xiaomao, who was also a trainer, interfere with the battle of others? Wutong received Metz, saying that he had completed the commission of Dr. Metz and said some of his views on the prayer shrine. Metz also showed great respect for Wutong, who helped him a lot. Although Metz wanted to go to the newly discovered ruins now, it was already night and the subsequent development team would not arrive until tomorrow, so Metz could only communicate with Wutong first. On the other side, Fujishu and Xiaomao, who were both RC's apprentices, but met for the first time, seemed a little polite. Xiaomao was purely respectful to his senior brother, whom he met for the first time, while Fujishu was a little overwhelmed. After all, this was the first time he met this junior brother, and he had only heard his master mention him occasionally before. However, Xiaomao was very sociable and Fujishu was also very cheerful, so the two quickly became familiar with each other. So those 3 stones may be the medium for contacting 3 different mythical beasts, Metz said in surprise after hearing Wutong's story. Yes, it should be like this. According to the legend of the Hone region, and the material of the 3 stones, it seems that they should be Regius, Regirock, and Regishalu. Wutong nodded and continued. This is also a big discovery. What about the newly discovered ruins? Do you think it is a prayer shrine for worshipping some mythical beast? Metz asked excitedly. I don't know. After all, I don't know the encyclopedia of mythical beasts. Wutong shrugged and said. It seems that I can only go and take a look tomorrow. Metz said. In a hidden corner of the ceiling, a purple onion was eating fruit while looking at the 4 people below with a look of fun in his eyes. The next day, the 4 of them came to the entrance of the prayer temple together, and other development teams were on their way. Looking at the high tower in the cave in front of him, Metz's eyes flashed. It's well preserved. Metz couldn't help but say as he looked at the ruins in front of him. Xiaomao also followed Metz and kept observing the ruins. Although Wutong didn't know what was so good about the bear outside, he was not a professional after all, and might not understand it. However, although Wutong couldn't see anything on the bear outside, he could see the altar in front of the main entrance clearly. The fruit he put on it yesterday disappeared, although this is not a surprising thing. After all, in this world full of Pokémon, there must be Pokémon living even in this cave. But what makes Wutong a little strange is that the altar is too clean. The Pokémon who found these fruits didn't eat them at all. Did they take them all away? You know, the quality of the fruit Wutong took out is definitely high enough, and the climate of Wudao Island is not suitable for storing fruit, so the Pokémon living here should not have the habit of storing food. Even if there is, it is impossible not to eat it here and pack it all away directly. Even the scattered fruit leaves are not left. What's wrong, Wutong? Tengshu found Wutong's abnormality and asked. It's okay. Maybe I think too much. The fruit I put here is gone. It should be taken away by the wild Pokémon here, but it's a bit too clean, which makes me feel a little strange. Wutong said. Maybe that Pokémon has misophobia. Tengshu said a possibility. Maybe. Since the altar is empty, let's offer sacrifices again. Wutong took out some fruits again and put them on the altar. What wish do you plan to make this time? Fujishu asked. Need I say, I hope I can be a hero for once. Wutong said directly. Do you know what mythical beast you are worshipping before you make a wish? Xiaomao, who came over, asked speechlessly after seeing Wutong's behavior. It doesn't matter what mythical beast it is. Anyway, this kind of thing is just a self-deception. If I really want to make a wish, I might as well go find Jirachi, who is said to be able to fulfill wishes. Wutong said nonchalantly. Chapter 511. After watching outside for a long time, Metz couldn't help but want to go into the ruins to find out. Seeing Dr. Metz so anxious to enter the ruins, Wutong and Xiaomao looked at each other and decided to accompany Dr. Metz in. What Wutong said to Fujiki yesterday that this ruins might be dangerous was just a lie. According to the plot in the anime, this prayer shrine is very solid. From the first floor to the top floor, it is all empty, and it looks like it is specially used as a decoration. It feels like it can be used, but cannot be without. Moreover, the lava team and the water fleet all went in for a walk, and even kept detecting something, but the tower did not respond at all. The 4 Wutongs discussed, and went directly into the prayer shrine. After the 4 Wutongs entered, the purple onion head appeared again, and flew to the side of the altar. Looking at the fruits that were replaced, the purple onion head showed a happy look on his face. The purple onion head scratched his little claws beside him, and a crack appeared in the void. It looked chaotic but full of danger. The purple onion head happily threw all the fruits on the altar into the space crack, leaving one to happily eat. Then the purple onion head suddenly remembered something, and floated into the prayer shrine with the fruit in his hand. After the Wutongs entered the prayer shrine, they explored layer by layer. Even though it was an empty foggy hall at a glance, Dr. Metz still explored everywhere with interest. Dr. Metz touched every brick on the wall. Even if there was no reaction, Dr. Metz still had stars in his eyes like a child who got a new toy. Although Xiaomei was not as enthusiastic as Dr. Metz, he also wandered back and forth in the hall of each floor curiously. I don't know what he is looking for. This wandering action looks like an NPC who is just filling in the numbers. Tengshu, who was originally very interested in exploring the prayer shrine, lost interest after seeing the empty space in front of him. He lazily followed Wutong to guard against possible dangers. Wutong was naturally the same. He was not very interested in this prayer shrine. He just followed Dr. Metz and Xiaomei and explored up layer by layer. He came to the top floor of the prayer shrine, and there was still no change. Wutong, you should also look for it. Is there any special mechanism? Dr. Metz said to Wutong expectantly. Wutong couldn't bear to spoil Dr. Metz's interest, so he also imitated Dr. Metz's actions, and began to explore the wall on the top floor of the prayer shrine. After groping for a while, Wutong was about to say that he didn't see any mechanism, but he felt a burning sensation in his palm. Wutong was stunned for a moment. This familiar feeling, could there really be something hidden here? Wutong subconsciously imitated what he did last time in the ancient Rose ruins, activated his superpowers, and used his superpower vision to observe the top wall of the prayer shrine. However, Wutong was immediately covered in cold sweat the moment he saw it. In the wall, densely packed unknown totems seemed to be embedded in it. Wutong couldn't help but look around, and found that the top wall was full of unknown totems. Wutong wanted to observe it again, but the eyelids of an unknown totem moved, and Wutong immediately lost his superpowers. His superpower perception told him that he couldn't look any further. Chapter 512. The problem is that the two sides have been working hard. Dr. Metz, who was waiting for Wutong to gain something, stared at Wutong expectantly, and Xiaomei, who had heard of Wutong's glorious deeds, also looked at Wutong to see what he could find. However, Xiaomei, who was very familiar with Wutong, keenly discovered that Wutong's state was not right. Hey, what's wrong? Xiaomei walked to Wutong and asked in a low voice. Something is wrong here. You should find a way to take Dr. Metz and Fuji out first. I may have to ask someone to solve the problem here. Wutong also came back to his senses and responded to Xiaomei in a low voice. Is it so tricky? Then you should be careful. Xiaomei knew what Wutong meant by asking someone to come. This person was undoubtedly Wutong's most powerful backer, Mutuo. Wutong needs to call Mutuo to help. It seems that there is really some terrible danger in this prayer shrine. Xiaomei immediately pulled Dr. Metz to say that this cave is so big that there may be more than one prayer shrine. Now that they have seen it all here, they might as well look for other possible relics. Dr. Metz was of course very interested when he heard it. Now that he has no equipment, this prayer shrine has been roughly explored. Before the development team arrives, it is better to explore this cave again. Fujishu was also taken away by Xiaomei, but Fujishu looked at Wutong intentionally or unintentionally before leaving. As a fighter, his natural intuition made him feel that Wutong and Xiaomei must have concealed something, but out of trust in Wutong and his junior Xiaomei, Fujishu did not say much, but followed Xiaomei and Dr. Metz to leave the prayer shrine. Wutong waited until all three left and activated his superpowers, but this time it was not used to observe the walls of the prayer shrine. The superpower was connected to the cattail necklace on his neck. Mutwo, who was far away in Viridian City, felt Wutong's call, and his mental power suddenly burst out. The invisible mental power extended outward and connected to Wutong's mental power through the cattail necklace. Sorry, Mutwo, I have to trouble you again so soon. I encountered a strange prayer shrine. There are many unknown totems sleeping in the walls here. I need your help. Feeling the connection of mental power, Wutong said apologetically. Many unknown totems? I know. I'll go there now. Be careful and don't annoy them. Mutwo now roughly understands the danger of unknown totems, so he reminded with concern. Wutong also ended the contact immediately. After all, even with the assistance of the cattail necklace and Mutwo's active extension of superpowers, this kind of telepathic communication across ultra-long distances consumes superpowers. After ending the ultra-long distance telepathic communication, Wutong began to think, what is this prayer shrine praying to? I originally thought that the two spherical grooves outside were used to place the vermilion and indigo orbs, but if they were used to worship Groudon and Kyogre, there would be no reason to embed so many unknown totems in the wall. Wutong can be sure that these unknown totems definitely did not voluntarily live in the wall. After all, the status of these unknown totems does not look normal, and they are all in a low consumption mode. Wutong, who was afraid of waking up these unknown totems, and did not dare to use superpowers to observe, had to continue groping on this layer. When Wutong's hand touched the wall again, the familiar burning feeling appeared again. As Wutong groped, the heat in Wutong's palm suddenly increased. When he reached a certain position, Wutong felt that the unknown totem in his palm seemed to want to release some superpowers. Wutong gritted his teeth and decided to take a gamble and released a trace of superpowers. The superpower connected to the wall along Wutong's arm and suddenly lit up at the place where Wutong touched. Oh. Wutong couldn't help muttering to himself as he looked at the pattern that looked like an unknown totem of the letter O in front of him. Wutong immediately continued to explore and then felt several more places of increased burning sensation. Wutong skillfully released his superpowers and 3 new patterns appeared on the wall. OPEN. The 4 patterns emitted a faint light, but the first 3 patterns were white light and the 4th pattern emitted a blue light. At the moment when all 4 patterns were lit up, Wutong felt a sound coming from above his head. Then a stone wall fell from the ceiling. On this stone wall was a mural painted entirely with black paint. The mural looked like it was painted with something magical. Baby, but the painting is so abstract that Wutong can't think of what kind of Pokémon it is. Wutong, who has been staring at the mural, gradually became confused. The mural in front of him seemed to exude a breath of destruction, but it was like a demon that wanted to lead people into the abyss. Wutong walked towards the mural stiffly like a puppet and mechanically stretched out his arm to touch the stone wall. At this time, a strong mental force hit, and Wutong was immediately knocked away and hit the wall behind him. Mutwo instantly appeared between Wutong and the stone wall, looking at the strange stone wall in front of him with a vigilant face. Wutong, who was hit by the mental force, also came back to his senses and looked at the stone wall with horror. What happened just now? He was completely lost. If it weren't for Mutwo's timely appearance, he didn't know what would happen after touching the stone wall. Fortunately you showed up in time. This stone wall and the mural on it are really weird. Wutong stood up and said in fear. This time, looking at the black mural on the stone wall, Wutong didn't feel lost this time, either because he was prepared, or because the effect of the mural would not take effect a second time. There's something wrong with this mural. We can't just stay here like this, Mutwo said decisively. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 513. The old man was very angry. Wutong absolutely agreed with Mutwo's evaluation of the stone wall in front of him. After all, the mural on the stone wall was too strange. Just destroy it. But wait a minute. Wutong took out the camera and said that even if he wanted to destroy it, he had to leave some clues first. Destroy it because he was afraid that people who came to develop the ruins would have problems later. After taking pictures, he threw the trouble directly to Abdu and the others. No, now we are in the home region, so let Dago do it. Anyway, Dago's trump card Metagross is not only a steel type, but also a psychic type. There must be a way to deal with this kind of weird mural that affects the spiritual level. After taking pictures from all angles, Wutong asked Mewtwo to look at the pictures first. This photo is very safe and will not affect the people who see it. Mewtwo said after checking it. Does that mean the problem is still with the mural itself? Wutong said thoughtfully. After hearing what Wutong said, Mewtwo walked to the mural and touched it without hesitation. The moment Mewtwo touched the mural emitted a dark purple light, and a mixed and hoarse cry appeared. Mewtwo closed his eyes, and his mental power burst out. The mural began to twist immediately, and then the phantoms of two Pokémon appeared and disappeared instantly. After the phantom disappeared, Mewtwo calmly opened his eyes, and the mural in front of him slowly disappeared. Wutong also saw the two dissipated Pokémon phantoms, and his face suddenly became complicated and puzzled. Darkrai and Cresselia, what is going on? Wutong said in great confusion. The mural can make people who see it for the first time lose themselves, because it has a hypnotic effect, and the hypnotic effect comes from the two Pokémon. The two Pokémon were forcibly sealed in the mural, and their energy was constantly absorbed. However, they have been dead for too long, but they cannot be freed from the seal. Mewtwo said. After hearing Mewtwo's cold words, Wutong didn't know what to say. Did the Nightmare God and the Dream God combine the abilities of nightmares and dreams to create a hypnotic mural? Seal. Is it because these unknown totems are sealed? Wutong asked, looking at the nearby wall. Wutong suddenly felt that the warning of his superpower might not be what he understood. The real warning of Wutong's superpower should be this mural. Because he foresaw that there would be bad results after the mechanism was cracked and the mural appeared, his superpower would give him a warning. So the reason why the unknown totems in the palm of his hand would become hot when he touched the wall was that he hoped that Wutong could save their kind. Mewtwo's eyes emitted blue light and looked at the surrounding walls. The next second, Mewtwo raised his hands horizontally and superpowers radiated and cracks suddenly appeared on the surrounding walls. As the cracks continued to increase, the surface of the wall kept peeling off, revealing the unknown totems embedded in the wall behind. The dense unknown totems in the wall made Wutong feel numb after seeing them. These exposed unknown totems still closed their eyes and showed no signs of waking up. Mewtwo didn't know why the unknown totems didn't wake up. After all, it had destroyed the outermost seal. Theoretically, these unknown totems should have been free. At this time, Wutong's palm began to emit heat again. Wutong raised his palm towards the unknown totems, and the 4 unknown totems with special patterns on his palms came back to life. The 4 special unknown totems began to rotate around Wutong, and their bodies also emitted blue light, and a wave spread out in all directions. After 2 or 3 seconds, the first unknown totem opened its eyes, followed by 2, 3. All the unknown totems opened their eyes. The long-lost unknown totem vortex appeared again. The unknown totems that regained their freedom seemed to know who saved them. A large group of unknown totems spun around the Wutong tree. Mewtwo hugged his arms around him, but he did not relax. After all, he also knew the magic of the unknown totems. The unknown totems were like genies who were ignorant of the world. They would help people realize their wishes, but they would always do so in a strange direction. It was like a student wanted to be the first in the grade, but the unknown totem did not make the student's grades better, but made all the other students who ranked before the student disappear. It was because of this weird style of action, even though he knew that these unknown totems were full of gratitude to Wutong, Mewtwo was always on guard to prevent these unknown totems from killing Wutong in order to repay their gratitude. Fortunately, these unknown totems had been sealed for an unknown period of time and their power was not much left, so after circling around Wutong to express their gratitude, the unknown totems left the prayer shrine. Only one unknown totem stayed. It was a blue unknown totem with the letter N. This unknown totem circled around Wutong and refused to leave. Do you want to follow me? Wutong asked. The unknown totem blinked and shook its body to indicate that it was right. Wutong looked at the 4 special unknown totems that were rotating around him at a constant speed like a halo and decided to let the unknown totem with the letter N stay. Anyway, he had already taken in 4 special flashes, so he didn't need a normal flash. After the 4 special unknown totems completed their tasks, their eyes became sleepy, and they slowly floated back to Wutong's palm and returned to their previous state. The new N letter unknown totem looked at Wutong's palm and wanted to learn to attach to it, but as soon as it touched Wutong's palm, it was blocked by the 4 special unknown totems. The N letter unknown totem suddenly looked at Wutong aggrievedly. Wutong was a little speechless. What's going on? Do the unknown totems also look at seniority? Can the old senior bully the newcomers? It's the unspoken rule of the workplace, right? There was no way. Wutong could only stretch out his other hand. This time the N letter unknown totem successfully attached to Wutong's palm. There was a very small N letter on the palm of Wutong's left hand. The moment the N letter unknown totem attached to him, Wutong suddenly felt a headache. After about 10 seconds, the headache disappeared, and Wutong felt that his mental strength had grown a lot. That is to say, because of the possession of the new unknown totem, Wutong's superpowers have become stronger. Wutong did not expect that he could have such an unexpected gain. Someone is coming, Mewtwo suddenly said and then disappeared. After hearing Mewtwo's words, Wutong looked at the passageway up and down the stairs. Xiaomei and the other two heard the movement here and hurried back. Wutong, are you okay? Xiaomei shouted directly after rushing up. After all, Wutong told him that there was something wrong with this prayer shrine. What happened? How did this place become like this? Dr. Metz was also shocked when he saw the mess on this floor. Is there an enemy? Or a dangerous mechanism? Fujiki also asked with concern. Things are a bit complicated. Seeing the 3 people coming back, Wutong showed a helpless expression on his face and began to tell the story. Of course, what Wutong told was half true and half false. After all, he couldn't tell them that he had a divine beast that could help him at any time, right? According to what Wutong said, he stayed here to continue looking for the mechanism, and finally he found a special place and successfully made the stone wall appear. But after the stone wall appeared, Wutong was hypnotized by the mural on it. At the critical moment, his subconscious forcefully burst out his mental power to let him get out of hypnosis. Wutong felt that this mural was too dangerous. If a person without superpowers was hypnotized, it would be difficult to know what would happen. So Wutong tried to destroy the mural after leaving the video data. Who knew that, as soon as his mental power touched the mural had a violent reaction. The mural disappeared by itself, and after disappearing, the wall of this layer also broke and peeled off by itself, revealing the dense unknown totems underneath. These unknown totems all woke up after the wall broke and peeled off and regained their freedom. After waking up, the unknown totems flew away in groups without making trouble for Wutong. After that, they came back to see it. At this time, Wutong was possessed by the unknown totem of the letter N and had just experienced a forced growth of mental power, so his face was still a little pale, which looked very convincing. After hearing Wutong's story, Dr. Metz was a little scared. Fortunately, Wutong had superpowers to get rid of the control of the murals, otherwise he didn't know how to explain to Mr. Aquan and Ms. Xingzi. After all, it was he who asked Wutong to find out if there were any hidden mechanisms. At the same time, Dr. Metz was also glad that he asked Wutong to help find the hidden mechanism. Otherwise, after Wutong left, if they accidentally triggered the mechanism when developing the ruins, it might be a tragic annihilation. As for blaming Wutong for destroying cultural relics, don't be funny. What kind of brain circuit can come up with such a weird idea? Let's not talk about Wutong's ability to help. This ruins was discovered by others, and he also helped to deal with such a big hidden danger. Wutong even left a special video file. Dr. Metz was so moved that he almost cried. He still blamed Wutong. Unless he was really crazy, he would do that. Anyway, it's great that you are okay. It seems that this prayer shrine may have been built by a cult in the past. We will be careful when we develop it later. Dr. Metz said to Wutong. It is indeed very likely that the cult created some strange evil god and built this strange prayer shrine. My mental energy is too much, so I won't accompany Dr. Metz to explore. Tengshu, can you trouble me to protect Dr. Metz's safety here? Wutong said to Tengshu. Leave it to me, you go back and rest quickly. Tengshu nodded and said. Xiaomei, who was not mentioned, naturally wanted to send Wutong back together. Xiaomei had no objection to this. After all, Xiaomei knew that what Wutong said was definitely incomplete. After Wutong and Xiaomei left, a purple onion head followed them. At this time, the purple onion head looked at Wutong with starry eyes. The purple onion head felt that Wutong was a good person. On the way back, Wutong's expression gradually recovered, and he also told Xiaomei what happened. You guys, sometimes you are too adventurous. Xiaomei said helplessly, after listening to Wutong's story. Sometimes he is just like Liu, never taking action until the last minute, but sometimes he is like a reckless man, doing it when he thinks it's almost done. I can only say that Wutong is really changeable. I didn't expect it either, but this prayer shrine is really strange. It can actually use unknown totems as seals and forcefully seal Darkrai and Cresselia as murals. It turns out that there is only a fine line between madness and genius. Wutong shrugged and said. So what are you going to do? Be calm when you act in the future. If you are not afraid of death, Mewtwo will also feel tired. Xiaomei complained directly. I'm also reflecting on it. I'm really sorry, Mewtwo, I always bother you during this period. Wutong said very embarrassedly. It doesn't matter. I just happen to be bored. Mewtwo appeared beside the two and said. I will definitely not get involved in such troublesome matters. Let Daigo handle it. After all, this is a legacy issue of the Hone region. There is no problem in handing it over to the current champion, right? Wutong said as a matter of course. Sometimes I'm really curious about how your brain works. It seems that you are the only one who dares to assign work to the champion and the king so casually, right? Xiaomei sighed when he saw Wutong's look. Xiaomei also knows a lot about Wutong's work as a Pokémon investigator. It is not enough for Wutong to find something for Adu when he has nothing to do. Now he has reached out to Daigo. Xiaomei, you have to remember that the bigger the banana peel. Wutong patted Xiaomei's shoulder and said seriously. Ah. Xiaomei had a question mark on his face. No, I said it wrong. The greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. Wutong also found that he was wrong and changed his words. Although what you said makes sense, I always feel like you are taking advantage of me. Xiaomei slapped Wutong's hand and said. How is it possible? It's just your illusion. Wutong said perfunctorily, but secretly thought that Xiaomei's sense was so sharp. After returning to the martial arts gym, Wutong contacted Daigo as soon as possible. Did you find any clues so quickly? Daigo asked in surprise after the call was connected. After all, he and Wutong had only been separated for 2 days. No, I just encountered something strange. There may be hidden dangers, so I think I need to tell you, Mr. Daigo. Wutong said. Then Wutong directly told what happened today and also sent the video materials he left to Daigo. Daigo on the other end of the phone fell into silence. He never thought that Wutong's experience was so rich after only 2 days. I suddenly understand Adu a little now. Daigo said. Adu. What's wrong with him? Wutong asked curiously. He said that you are an event attractor. Although you can expose those potential dangers in advance, it will also make people busy and exhausted. Daigo replied. Chapter 514. The battle was a battle, but the battle was a battle. Wutong and Xiaomei borrowed the fighting field of the martial arts gym for training battles. After contacting Daigo, Wutong got the title of event attractor, and it came from his direct superior, Adu. Although Wutong was unhappy, considering that he couldn't beat Adu and Daigo at present, he decided to remember this grudge first, and then slowly avenge it later. Who is the event attractor? He is obviously the flash attractor. After explaining the matter of the prayer shrine to Daigo, the whole trouble was successfully thrown to Daigo. Whether there will be other such prayer shrines in the Hone region is a headache for Daigo and his team. Wutong felt that his work in the fighting town was almost over, and it was time to continue his journey. However, since there was nothing worth rushing for, Wutong planned to leave the next day. Before that, he had to fight with Fujishu to get the boxing badge. Xiaomei had been immersed in research, so he had not officially started to challenge the gym. Now that he had come to Fighting Town, he simply planned to use the fighting gym as his starting point in the Hone region. In order to get himself into shape as soon as possible, Xiaomei directly proposed a training battle to Wutong, and Wutong certainly would not refuse, so the two began to fight in the fighting gym. During the intermission, Fujishu also came back. "How is it, Wutong? Are you okay?" Fujishu asked Wutong after he came back. "It's okay, just rest for a while to consume your mental energy. But why are you the only one back? Where is Dr. Metz?" Wutong asked. "The development team of the ruins has arrived, and I'm not needed there, so I came back first." Fujishu replied. "Is that so? That's perfect. I'm going to continue my journey after tomorrow." Wutong nodded and said, "Continue the journey? That means..." Tengshu showed an excited look. "Come on, let's fight with all our strength, but I don't have many Pokémon on me, so we can only have a 1v1. Wutong said. "Ha ha ha ha, of course, no problem, Xiaomei. I'll trouble you to be the referee." Tengshu said to Xiaomei impatiently. "No problem, leave it to me." Xiaomei agreed without hesitation. The three of them immediately came to their respective positions. "Go, Iron Palm Warrior." Tengshu was the first to send out his Pokémon. Anyway, it was a 1v1 full strength battle. What attribute, restraint and tactical style were not important. What mattered was whether his trump card could win. Hey, an Iron Palm Warrior appeared in front of Tengshu. This Iron Palm Warrior was not the Iron Palm Warrior that accompanied Fujishu in surfing. The Iron Palm Warrior in front of him was even bigger, and his two palms were also very huge, covered with scars and calluses, which were the marks left by training. "Swampert, please." Wutong also sent out his trump card. Rag. Swampert showed off his muscles as soon as he appeared. "It's Swampert, Wutong. This Iron Palm Warrior was my first partner. He has been with me all the way to grow up until now, but because of the high intensity training in the past, it has left too many hidden injuries on its body and can no longer continue. Can I entrust this last farewell battle to you?" Fujishu shouted to Wutong from a distance. "Hey." The Iron Palm Warrior looked at the flames of war burning in Swampert's eyes. He could see that the Swampert in front of him was a good opponent. "I can't guarantee anything. I can only say that Swampert and I will do our best," Wutong replied. "Rag." Swampert also called out in cooperation. A smile appeared on Fujishu's face. That was enough. This was the best answer Fujishu could hope for. Chapter 515. After Wutong answered Tengshu's question, the battle between the two sides began. Without Wutong and Tengshu's command, Swampert and Iron Palm had already rushed to each other, and the two sides held their palms tightly together and started wrestling. Tengshu's Iron Palm's power was unexpectedly great, and for a while it was evenly matched with Swampert. However, strength is Swampert's strongest point. How could Swampert allow himself to lose to other Pokémon in strength? Swampert's muscles bulged high, and all the muscles in his body were mobilized at the same time, and Iron Palm was gradually suppressed. "Iron Palm. Strange power." Tengshu commanded. "Hey." The Iron Palm Warrior's whole body emitted red fluorescence, and his strength suddenly increased. "Swampert. Super strength." Wutong commanded without showing any weakness. It was just super strength. How could his Swampert not have it? Rag. Swampert roared, and the veins on his already bulging muscles emerged. With the red fluorescence emitting from his body, Swampert directly pressed the Iron Palm Warrior to the ground. In this initial wrestling, Swampert won. Iron Palm Warrior. Earthquake. Fujiki found that the Iron Palm Warrior was indeed no match for Swampert in terms of strength and decisively changed his tactics. Hey. The Iron Palm Warrior's thick palm slammed heavily on the ground, and the ground suddenly shook. Swampert's body began to shake, and then fell to the ground. The Iron Palm Warrior took this opportunity to immediately stand up and keep a safe distance from Swampert. "Swampert, adjust your state and motivate yourself," Wutong commanded. Rag. Swampert jumped up from the ground and made a bodybuilding pose. Iron Palm Warrior, bodybuilding. Fujishu did not miss this opportunity to command Iron Palm Warrior to strengthen himself. Hey. Iron Palm Warrior kept changing his poses, and his attack and defense were improved together. Swampert, Water Flow Rupture Freezing Punch. Wutong let Swampert complete the strengthening and directly launched a fierce attack. Swampert's arms were first covered with water flow, and then the cold air was wrapped around, and the covered water flow turned into ice crystal armor. Then Swampert rushed towards Iron Palm Warrior, and his fists covered with ice crystal armor kept attacking Iron Palm Warrior. Iron Palm Warrior, the secret of softness. Fugishu commanded. Hey. Iron Palm Warrior's huge body suddenly became very flexible, and he kept dodging in the direction of Swampert's attack. At first, Swampert was able to hit a few times with fierce attacks, but after Iron Palm found the rhythm, Swampert's attack suddenly became a prearranged performance, and he didn't hit once. Although he was hit by a few punches from Swampert at the beginning, with a body of thick fat wrapped in muscles, Swampert's attack did not cause fatal damage. Iron Palm, use the force to throw. Fujiki commanded at the right time. After Iron Palm dodged Swampert's attack again, he grabbed Swampert's arm, then turned sideways, and threw Swampert over his shoulder, and Swampert was directly smashed to the ground. Swampert, calm down. Switch the rhythm of the attack. You should also have some understanding of the secret of softness. Wutong shouted. Swampert heard Wutong's shout, and tried to grab Iron Palm's arm despite the pain on his body, but Iron Palm seemed to have been prepared and pulled away the moment he threw Swampert to the ground. Swampert jumped up from the ground as soon as he missed. This time, Swampert's attack began to become chaotic, and the Iron Palm Warrior, who had just found the rhythm of Swampert's attack, became confused again. The rhythm of evasion failed, and Iron Palm Warrior made his body relaxed. Iron Palm Warrior seemed to have turned into a puddle of mud, making Swampert's attack seem unable to hit with full force. Although the fist hit Iron Palm Warrior, Swampert always had the illusion that it seemed to miss. Swampert, think about it, and use your strength. Water Flow Breaks, Arm Hammer. Wutong reminded. Swampert immediately retracted his fist and concentrated, and his muscles squirmed. The water flow wrapped around his arm again, and then a stream of energy rushed out along with the white light along the punch swung by Swampert. The Iron Palm Warrior put his arms in front of him, trying to continue to resist with the secret of softness. However, Swampert's attack came too fast. The Iron Palm Warrior was soft, but the softness was a little bit caught up by Swampert's attack, and the damage was dealt before he could relieve the force. The Iron Palm Warrior retreated again and again. Iron Palm Warrior, do another bodybuilding. Fugishu commanded after seeing that Iron Palm Warrior had stabilized his body. Iron Palm Warrior continued his bodybuilding movements, and his attack and defense were further improved. Swampert, Ram. Wutong guessed that Fugishu might want to fight for a burst, but Wutong didn't want to give him this opportunity. Swampert directly hit Iron Palm Warrior like a cannonball. Iron Palm Warrior's bodybuilding was directly interrupted. Iron Palm Warrior, push hard. Fugishu shouted. Swampert, Strange Force, Water Flow Split, Arm Hammer. Wutong also shouted. Rag. Swampert also understood what Wutong meant, and once again reproduced the technique of exerting strength. The red light wrapped around Swampert, and the muscles of Swampert's whole body vibrated, as if they had life. The three skills were combined together, and with the technique of exerting strength Swampert's punch exceeded the speed of sound, and a sharp explosion sounded. The attacks of the Iron Palm and Swampert hit each other at the same time. Swampert retreated again and again, and the arm that launched the attack hung limply to the side. The sturdy body of the Iron Palm flew directly out of the battlefield. The Iron Palm has lost his ability to fight. The winner is Wutong. Xiao Mao, the referee, announced immediately. The battle was over, and Fugishu took back the Iron Palm with a refreshed face, and then walked in front of Wutong. Thank you, Wutong. This is the best last battle of the Iron Palm, and the boxing badge is yours. Fugishu took out a badge that looked like a boxing glove, and said to Wutong, you're welcome. This kind of battle is also what Swampert is looking forward to. Wutong took the boxing badge and responded. At this point, Wutong finally got the second gym badge in the Hone region. Chapter 516. After getting the boxing badge, Wutong and Fugishu sent their Pokémon to the Pokémon Center. After all, Fighting with all their strength would cause serious injuries. Although there are treatment equipment in the fighting gym, it is better to trouble Miss Joy for the injuries of Swampert and Iron Palm. The next day, Wutong was ready to leave Fighting Town. Fujishu and Xiaomei came to say goodbye to Wutong. As for Dr. Metz, he was completely obsessed with the Shrine of Prayer, but Xiaomei still brought greetings. Are you leaving so soon? Our special training can last longer. Fujishu said regretfully. Don't be so disappointed. Although I left, isn't Xiaomei still here? Your junior brother was seriously taught by RC. Wutong replied. You bastard, leave quickly. Xiaomei said unhappily when he saw Wutong digging a hole for himself before leaving. Wutong said a few more words to the two and then left. This time he didn't plan to take a boat, but planned to take a Pokémon trip after a long absence. Anyway, Wudao Town is not very far from the waterway of Kana City. Little turtle, come out. Wutong called out the little turtle when they arrived at the intersection of the number 107 waterway. Kamui the little turtle that was specially replaced appeared in front of Wutong. Little turtle, please. Wutong pointed to the waterway in front of him and said, Kamui. The little turtle nodded and jumped into the water directly. With a body carefully crafted by Mutuo and Wutong's excellent cultivation, the turtle is much larger than its peers, so after the turtle entered the water, a mini island seemed to appear on the water. Wutong jumped directly onto the turtle's shell, then sat cross-legged, and began to move forward steadily. It is destined to be lonely to move forward alone on a turtle shell. Looking at the vast sea nearby, Wutong also felt a little bored. After thinking for 2 seconds, Wutong let Xiaoxia out. Anyway, there is no fear of being seen by others on such a vast sea. Lalu. Xiaoxia saw the endless sea nearby as soon as he appeared. When he called out in confusion, he felt his body lighten. Come, let me see if your body has recovered. Wutong picked up Xiaoxia and said. Wutong lifted Xiaoxia up and examined him carefully. After all, Xiaoxia was very young and should have been captured by Purple Eyes not long after he was born. With Xian's evil deeds, it is impossible to give Xiaoxia a normal diet, and he may not even have fed Xiaoxia at all. Xiaoxia was already very weak because of the mental trauma of his parents dying in front of him. Wutong has been trying to find a way to treat Xiaoxia these days, but because Xiaoxia is too young, Wutong can't feed him too much, so he can only do it slowly. Xiaoxia is now much healthier than when Wutong just rescued him. Although his body is still slender, he is not the skinny one caused by malnutrition. Not bad, he will be plump after a little more care. Wutong said with satisfaction when he looked at Xiaoxia's condition. Lalu. Xiaoxia's face turned red because of shyness when Wutong lifted him up to observe him. At this time, Wutong's communicator rang. Wutong took out the communicator and found that it was a number that he had never seen before, but seemed a little familiar. This is Investigator Xiaotong. Wutong cleared his throat, changed his voice, and answered the communicator. I'm going back to headquarters in the next 2 days. If you have nothing to do, come and find me at abandoned ship. Emma's voice came from the communicator. Chapter 517. The old man was lying on the ground, on waterway 107, in front of a large, dilapidated ship covered with moss, and stranded next to a group of rocks. Wutong stood on the turtle's body, and looked for an entrance. In Wutong's arms was Xiaoxia, Wutong's sea companion. Mr. Emo should be here, but why is he here in this abandoned ship? Wutong said to himself as he looked at the abandoned ship in front of him. In his memory, there were many Pokémon on this abandoned ship, but they were all very common and there were no rare ones. The only rare Swampert was still a Pokémon with an owner, and this Swampert still hated humans. After all, it thought its trainer had abandoned it here. Could it be that Guanghei, the trainer of this Swampert, is Mr. Emo's relative? Wutong walked into the abandoned ship with doubts. Because it was stranded for an unknown period of time, the abandoned ship was covered with moss and vines on the deck. The entire abandoned ship looked older than in the animation, but it was precisely because of this state that the abandoned ship had become an oasis on the sea for Pokémon. The moment he walked onto the deck, Wutong felt as if something was secretly watching him and the turtle. If nothing unexpected happened, it should be the Swampert. Wutong ignored it and took the turtle to look for Mr. Emo's trace. At this time, a figure rushed out of the darkness and chopped Wutong's throat with a knife. Yes, more vigilant than I thought. Mr. Emo also walked out of the darkness and applauded. At this time, Mr. Emo's Alido stood in front of Wutong, and his hand knife stopped more than 10 centimeters in front of Wutong's throat. Wutong's collar twisted strangely to block Alido's attack. Alido retracted his hand knife and nodded to Wutong, saying hello and expressing his apology to Wutong for his sudden attack. After Alido retracted his hand knife, Wutong's strangely twisted collar began to wriggle, and a blue slime appeared on Wutong's shoulder. When deciding to travel on the sea with the turtle, Wutong not only teleported the turtle, but also exchanged Ditto. After all, if an accident happens, Ditto is the best insurance. Mr. Emo, this is too dangerous. If it weren't for Ditto in my head, I might have to travel far away by myself. I'm here to train, not to die. Wutong said to Mr. Emo. If you don't react, Alido will stop before hitting you. And let's put it this way. Although I plan to teach you something, if you can't even pass this simple test at the beginning, how can I teach you my best skills? Mr. Emo said calmly. Okay, you make sense. So do I pass the first test now? Wutong asked with a shrug. Not only the first, but also the last one. After all, I don't have so much time to test you all the time. Come with me. Mr. Emo said and turned to walk into the abandoned ship. Wutong followed Mr. Emo's back. Sure enough, Mr. Emo was really unique. Following Mr. Emo inside the abandoned ship, Mr. Emo soon brought Wutong to a room. The teacher inside is where you learn the basics. Mr. Emo pointed to the door and said, Teacher? Wutong pushed the door open in confusion. In the room, two cute Pokémon were playing and chasing each other. Positively charged, negatively charged. Wutong couldn't help but ask. Yes, they are your introductory teachers. Mr. Emo said without hesitation. Chapter 518. The two of them were so cute. Wutong scratched his head as he looked at the two cute Pokémon in front of him. What was going on? Why were there more and more teachers? Why did even Pokémon appear? It seems that you are very dissatisfied with your teacher. Mr. Emo saw Wutong's doubts and said. It's not that I'm dissatisfied, I'm just a little curious. Wutong said, after all, there must be a teacher among three people, and even the worst person must have something worth learning. With Wutong's personality, the teacher can accept anything. Wutong is mainly curious about what he has to learn from the positive and negative electric pat. I want to know what I have to learn from the positive and negative electric pat. Wutong continued to ask. Learn their tacit understanding. Mr. Emo said without keeping it a secret. A tacit understanding? Wutong looked at the positive and negative electric papa who were playing games. Indeed, if it is a tacit understanding, the positive and negative electric papa are indeed very good teachers. Yes, but to be honest, the positive and negative electric papa should be the teachers of your Pokémon. In addition to the little guy in your arms, your other one is the one called Iron Warrior, right? Mr. Emo asked. Iron Warrior, come out. Wutong nodded and released Iron Warrior. Iron Warrior appeared, looked at Wutong, and then at Xiaoxia in Wutong's arms. Lalu Xiaoxia stretched out his arm, after seeing Iron Warrior. Seeing Xiaoxia's call, Iron Warrior also stretched out his arm, and took Xiaoxia from Wutong's arms. It seems that the two of them will learn quickly. Mr. Emo said, looking at the intimate Iron Warrior and Xiaoxia. Wutong looked at the Iron Warrior and Xiaoxia and nodded. After all, Xiaoxia trusted Iron Warrior the most besides himself. So how should we train? Xiaoxia's physical condition cannot support high-intensity training. Wutong said in advance. With Xiaoxia's current age and physical condition, he can't support too high-intensity training. Even Wutong doesn't want Xiaoxia to start training now. It's very simple. Tacit training doesn't need too high intensity. Positive papa, negative papa, please. Mr. Emo said to positive papa and negative papa. Positive papa smiled and called to Mr. Emo. Negative papa also nodded, shaking his ears. Papa. Positive papa and negative papa looked at each other, as if they confirmed something. The next second, the two little guys jumped up at the same time, and clapped their hands. Then there was a duet with almost 100% synchronization. There were no fancy moves, and the main feature was a 1-to-1 replica. Mr. Emo watched the dance of positive papa and negative papa, closed his eyes and casually snapped his fingers. I saw positive papa and negative papa cross and turn, and started a new action, but this time it was not a 1-to-1 replica, but a completely symmetrical action like looking in the mirror. Wutong couldn't help but open his eyes wide. This level of tacit understanding was really amazing. Wutong also understood the meaning of Mr. Emo closing his eyes, that is, to prove that it was not trained in advance, but could do this level at any time. After a duet, positive papa and negative papa settled at the same time, and then performed a closing ceremony. How is it? Can you do it? Mr. Emo asked. Wutong looked at Chuo and Xiaoxia, who looked at Wutong innocently. We work hard. Wutong took a deep breath and replied. Chapter 519. Although Wutong said he was working hard, he couldn't help but sigh after looking at Chuo and Xiaoxia. It's difficult. It's really too difficult. First of all, Chuo doesn't look like he has a brain. Xiaoxia is still in his infancy, so it's unlikely to let him take the lead in training Chuo. But it's not okay to let them simply learn positive and negative electric clapping. What Chuo and Xiaoxia need to train is tacit understanding, not really practicing a duet. You look troubled. Mr. Emo saw Wutong's state and said, it's not troubled, I'm just thinking about who should take the lead between Chuo and Xiaoxia. Wutong replied. Did I say you don't need training? Mr. Emo suddenly said. On the deck of the abandoned ship, several figures kept dancing. Wutong followed the positive and negative claps with a painful look on his face, learning the dance moves. Next to Wutong were Iron Warrior and Xiaozhi who were also dancing. Please imagine the dance moves yourself. Purge. Requiem of the Loli God. Iron Warrior still had that mechanical expressionless face, while Xiaozhi seemed to be enjoying it, waving his little paws, spinning his feet, and trying to keep up with the rhythm. If you think that Wutong and the two Pokémon are just learning dance moves, you are wrong. If there is a superpower here using superpower vision to watch Wutong and Iron Warrior, Xiaoxi's state can be found. At this time, the mental power emanated from Wutong's body and connected to Iron Warrior and Xiaoxia, and the will of the trainer and the two Pokémon was gradually synchronized. Iron Warrior and Xiaoxia seemed to have become a whole, and Wutong was the brain that controlled this whole. This is Mr. Emo's real special training for Wutong, but unlike Mr. Emo himself, Mr. Emo's Alido and Gardevoir can connect with each other's mental power, and at the same time, extend their mental power to connect with Mr. Emo. As for Wutong's two Pokémon, although Iron Warrior can also use superpowers, the usage is rough and limited, and Xiaoxia is still too young to support mental power. So the mental power core has become Wutong, the trainer. At this time, Mr. Emo also began to reveal the secret of his double secret. First of all, there is the tacit understanding between Alido and Gardevoir. By practicing unique dance music, to improve the tacit understanding of the two Pokémon, and adding the fusion of mental power, the two Pokémon are like one. Combined with the attack dance developed by Mr. Emo, each attack of the two Pokémon can overlap to ensure full damage. In terms of defense, it relies on Mr. Emo's vision as a trainer. Letting Alido and Gardevoir connect their mental power to Mr. Emo is not to make Mr. Emo feel involved. You know, during the battle, the vision of Pokémon and the vision of the trainer are completely different. A trainer can see much more in the battle than the Pokémon itself. And Alido and Gardevoir rely on this kind of work to find threats at the first time, and then cooperate with the offensive dance to attack. Any secret technique seems simple at the moment it is revealed, but it looks simple. Wutong personally experienced the difficulty during training. This is completely different from when Wutong used superpowers to command the battle. Although it can be used as a reference, it still needs to constantly find the right state. Maybe when Xiaoxia grows up, he will feel a little easier. Let's stop here today. Mr. Emo glanced at the dark sky and said, okay, Mr. Emo. Wutong stopped and replied. Learning dance did not consume too much physical strength of Wutong. After all, he has experienced all kinds of devil training such as Mazishi, Ziba, and RC. What really hurt Wutong was his brain that was aching and swollen because of the continuous consumption of mental power. If it weren't for the fact that he had an unknown totem that made his superpowers stronger, Wutong felt that he would have collapsed long ago. Linking two Pokémon at the same time is completely different from linking one Pokémon. Wutong originally thought that the consumption would be doubled at most, but when he really tried it, it was not just as simple as doubling the consumption. There are also a lot of different mental power counterattacks and information screening. Originally, Wutong thought that he could try it after his team battle system was established. Try to control the whole place with mental power. Now it seems that Wutong will faint due to overload the moment he connects all the Pokémon's mental power, let alone control the whole place. Alas, I feel like I need a transfer station. Wutong rubbed his head and said to himself. As soon as Wutong finished speaking, Wutong's communicator rang. Mr. Dago? Wutong took out the communicator and answered it after seeing the number on it. Wutong, have you arrived in Kana City? Dago asked directly after the communicator was connected. No, I'm currently undergoing special training on the abandoned ship on Waterway 107. What happened, Mr. Dago? Wutong honestly told where he was. Yes, I did encounter some troubles. I hope to ask you to be a courier again. I'm here at Chimney Mountain now. I don't know why the volcano that should have been dormant suddenly changed. I'm a little worried that it will suddenly change from dormant to active. So I plan to prepare in advance. I hope you can go to the Sea Museum in Kana City to help me pick up something and send it to Chimney Mountain. It would be best if it can be completed within a week. I also need time to investigate the reasons for the changes in Chimney Mountain. Dago said. I know, Mr. Dago, I will leave now. Wutong replied decisively. The changes in Chimney Mountain are probably the work of the Magma team. Have they found the meteorite in the meteor falls now? Wutong felt that the Magma team should not be so efficient. It seems that there is a situation beyond the plot that he knows. There is no way. The training of abandoning the ship seems to end early, but before that, Wutong has one more thing to do. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 520. After the training, Wutong went back to the room to find Mr. Mo. Although the special training had just begun, the matter with Dago was obviously more important. Although Dago said that he would be at Chimney Mountain within a week, Wutong didn't know what the situation was at the Museum of the Sea, so it was better to leave early. It seems that it's really unfortunate, but this matter is really not suitable for delay. You already know the basic training methods. When you have enough proficiency in Iron Warrior and Lululus, practice according to the content here. Mr. Mo understood that Wutong wanted to end the special training early and threw a USB flash drive to Wutong. Inside this USB flash drive was Mr. Mo's detailed teaching of the offensive dance. Thank you very much, but I have always wanted to know why Mr. Mo wanted to teach me your secret skills? Wutong asked. What else? Do I have to let my tricks that I have worked so hard to research have no successors? I'm willing to teach you, only because you happen to meet the requirements. This world is made up of various coincidences. From our acquaintance to my discovery of your tricks that suit me, this is just a combination of coincidences. Mr. Mo said lightly. But one thing is one thing. When I need you to do something later, I hope you will forget what I said just now. I'm teaching you specifically. You must remember my kindness and do things for me. Mr. Mo suddenly changed his words. Okay, I understand, Mr. Mo. Wutong said, a little bit of laughter and tears. Mr. Mo's personality is really wonderful. After seeing Wutong understand, Mr. Mo nodded with satisfaction and then prepared to rest. Mr. Mo, are positive and negative electric pats your Pokémon? Wutong asked without leaving in a hurry. Of course not, they are wild Pokémon living here. Mr. Mo replied. Okay, then I won't be polite, little frog. Heracross, do it. Wutong snapped his fingers and said. Banahara. Heracross and Little Frog suddenly appeared behind Wutong, and Little Frog stretched out two vines and directly entangled positive and negative Papa. Heracross took this opportunity to come behind positive and negative Papa, and two hand knives fell on the necks of positive and negative Papa, and positive and negative Papa lost consciousness directly. Wutong saw the opportunity and threw out two first chance balls directly. Unlike in the game, in reality, the earlier the first chance ball is thrown, the better the effect. Under Wutong's unexpected action, the effect of the two first chance balls was almost maximized, and positive and negative Papa were successfully subdued without struggling. That's it. Goodbye, Mr. Remo. Wutong collected the two first chance balls and turned around and left quickly. Banner Herafrog and Heracross nodded to Mr. Remo and then ran out with Wutong. Mr. Remo, who had been staring with dead eyes and a world-weary face, had a huge change on his face for the first time. Did that bastard just now take his master away? After leaving the interior of the abandoned ship, Wutong returned to the deck and wanted to travel directly to Kana City overnight. However, on the deck, a Pokémon was already waiting for Wutong. Rag, a giant Swampert that looked not very well nourished, stood on the deck and shouted at Wutong. Are you trying to stop me from leaving? You should hate humans. Why do you want to stop me? Wutong asked the Swampert in front of him. In the plot, the Swampert in front of him should still mistakenly think that he was abandoned and is still in the stage of hating humans. Rag, Swampert ordered Wutong, and the meaning was very clear. He could leave, but he had to let him beat him up before leaving. It's really troublesome, little frog. I leave it to you, and make a quick decision. Wutong looked at the Swampert speechlessly and said to Little Frog. Banger. Little Frog nodded and walked towards the Swampert. With 4 times weak grass and the gap in strength, Wutong estimated that Swampert would not last long. However, Wutong also needed to adjust his Pokémon, so he took back Heracross. Wutong took out the Pokémon portable transmission device and transmitted Little Turtle, Heracross, positive Papa and negative Papa to Xiaozhi. Then he sent Crowhead and Xiaoxia was transmitted back, and now the main Lanoop of Wutong became Crowhead, Fossil Pterosaur, Xiaoxia and Little Frog. Because he needed to hurry up, Wutong simply brought 2 more flying Pokémon. At the same time, Wutong did not forget to tell Xiaoxia that positive Papa and negative Papa were gifts for her. In Wutong's opinion, positive Papa and negative Papa are very suitable for Xiaoxia. In the future, if necessary, you can directly hand over the Pokémon that needs tacit training to Xiaoxia, which is simply killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Little Frog quickly ended the battle. This giant Swampert that grew up in the abandoned ship was really far from Wutong's ace giant Swampert. Little Frog thought he would have a good battle. Thank you for your hard work. Okay, I'm going to leave. By the way, if nothing unexpected happens, the person you are waiting for will appear soon. Remember, many things can't just look at the surface. Sometimes sudden accidents can also cause some things that you don't want to happen. Wutong said to the giant Swampert and called Crowhead to fly away. Rag, Swampert lay on the deck and looked at Wutong, who was leaving, and fell into thought. At this time, above Chimney Mountain, Dago stood on Metagross, looking at the calm crater below and thinking, Metagross, what's the matter? Why do you want to come to this crater so much? Although the crater has a tendency to become active, it should still be a normal change. Dago, Metagross asked. He originally planned to continue looking for clues about the stone slab, but for some reason, his Metagross seemed to suddenly sense something when passing by Chimney Mountain. He brought himself to the crater of Chimney Mountain very anxiously. Dago thought that there was something wrong with Chimney Mountain at first, so he immediately investigated. As a result, it was really found that Chimney Mountain had a tendency to become active, so Dago immediately contacted Wutong to prepare for it. As a result, after further investigation, Dago found that the changes in Chimney Mountain were just normal fluctuations in activity. But Metagross still looked very anxious, and it seemed that the Chimney Mountain in front of him seemed to be hiding something. The Metagross shook its head. It always felt that there was something in the crater that made it uneasy, but it had no way to enter the magma. Due to the attribute of Dago's own Pokémon, it was impossible to enter the magma safely, so now it still needed to wait for Wutong's arrival. In addition to Pokémon, they could only use the thing that their Do and company invested in the Ocean Museum to study. Forget it, let's continue investigating. Dago also knew that his Metagross would not deliberately deceive him, so he decided to continue investigating. Under the Chimney Mountain crater, in the deepest part of the magma, the dark red light flickered like breathing, but this dark red light was completely blocked by the light and heat of the magma. Chapter 521. The moon was bright and the stars were sparse. Under the bright moonlight, Wutong rode on Crowhead and flew towards Kana City. Perhaps because Crowhead himself was a creature that loved the night, the speed of Crowhead flying under the moonlight was much faster than expected. When the sun rose from the sea, Wutong also arrived at the coast of Kana City. Putting away Crowhead, Wutong strolled on the beach. A sleepless night did not have much impact on Wutong. He was not bragging. In his previous life, he died suddenly after not sleeping for 7 consecutive days and nights. When he entered Kana City, the whole city had not woken up yet. Even a vibrant city would not get up so early. Just when Wutong was thinking about where to go to kill time first, Wutong found that the door of the Marine Science Museum was actually open. After thinking for 2 seconds, Wutong walked towards the Marine Science Museum and walked into the door. Perhaps because it was not yet normal business hours, the person standing at the entrance was not a ticket seller, but a security guard. "Sorry, the Marine Science Museum is not open yet," the security guard said, after seeing Wutong and blocking him. "I'm not here to visit. My name is Wutong. I'm here to pick up something on behalf of Mr. Dago," Wutong said. "Wutong? Excuse me, can I verify your identity?" said the security guard. "No problem." Wutong nodded and took out the Pokémon Encyclopedia. The Pokémon Encyclopedia has the information of the corresponding holder logged in. After seeing Wutong take out the Pokémon Encyclopedia and confirm the information, the security guard made way and said, "Director Nanmu is on the 2nd floor now. He said that if a trainer named Wutong comes, just go to the 2nd floor to find him." Wutong thanked the security guard and entered the Marine Science Museum, heading straight to the 2nd floor. The 2nd floor of the Marine Science Museum is obviously not open to the public. The entire 2nd floor is more like a huge laboratory. In front of a laboratory table on the 2nd floor, a man in a white coat is busy. "Hello, I'm Wutong. I'm here to get something for Mr. Dago," Wutong said loudly to the back of the man in the white coat. Hearing Wutong's words, the figure in the white coat shook his body and turned around. Holding a bowl of instant noodles in his hand, he looked at Wutong with eyes with heavy dark circles under his eyes. "Are you Wutong?" Sorry, I haven't prepared what Mr. Dago wants," Director Nanmu said. Sorry, is your body okay?" Wutong couldn't help asking when he saw the state of Director Nanmu. Haha, it's okay. I just didn't sleep for 3 days and 3 nights. Don't worry, if it really reaches the limit, my brain will automatically start the protection program to force hibernation," Director Nanmu said cheerfully, and didn't forget to eat a few mouthfuls of noodles. "Excuse me, what do you mean by forced hibernation?" Wutong couldn't help asking when he saw the state of Director Nanmu. Forced hibernation is ZZZZZZZZZZZZ. Director Nanmu tilted his head halfway through his words and fell asleep standing up. Really hibernate? Wutong approached carefully for fear that Director Nanmu would have an accident, poked Director Nanmu with his finger and whispered, "Director Nanmu, are you still alive?" Forced hibernation means falling asleep suddenly. About 3 minutes later, Director Nanmu suddenly raised his head and continued what he had just said. Looking at the suddenly energetic Director Nanmu, Wutong inexplicably wanted to learn this skill. This is too amazing. It's very troublesome to prepare what Mr. Dago needs. Although I started preparing after he contacted me, I have only completed half of it. It will be completed around tomorrow morning, so you can go shopping in Kana City first. By the way, today seems to be the day when the Kana conference is regularly held. You can go and have a look. After Dr. Nanmu finished his instant noodles quickly and continued his work. Seeing Dr. Nanmu busy, Wutong couldn't disturb him and had to leave first. I didn't expect that I couldn't get what Dago needed in the first place after rushing here. It seems that Dago had expected it, so he asked himself to arrive at Chimney Mountain within a week. Wutong, who had nothing to do, decided to take a rest first and opened a Pokémon Center in Kana City. After entering the room, Wutong asked about the start time of the Kana conference. After getting the time, Wutong found that he still had a long time to rest, so he just took a nap. After waking up, Wutong packed up and prepared to watch the Kana conference. After all, there was no gym in Kana City, and Wutong, who had nothing to do, planned to watch the grand contest to kill time. Before leaving the Pokémon Center, Wutong began to think about whether to take the little guys to watch it together. What if they also like the grand contest? But he thought carefully about the 5 little guys around him now. The violent Yo-Yo who wanted to beat all of his kind every day. The Eevee who just wanted to sleep and didn't want to participate in unnecessary battles. The very shy Mare Sheep, whose special skill was to disguise a strawberry flavored marshmallow. And yeah, who was very lively, so lively that people thought he might be a little fool. No matter how you think about it, these 4 little guys can't be interested in the grand contest. As for Xiaoxia, maybe letting him watch the grand contest can make him forget a little bit of the sadness of losing his parents. But if I want to take Xiaoxia to watch the gorgeous competition, I have to dress up. Wutong was immediately tangled up. Which is more important, moral integrity or his own children? Wutong made a decision in less than half a second. Or the mental health of his own children is more important, and there is no chance to let the Iron Warrior out normally, so this time he should let the Iron Warrior out for a while. Steelix, what about me? After Wutong made the decision, he changed his clothes decisively, put on the uniform of the Pokémon investigator, put on the cloak, and called Xiaoxia and Iron Warrior out. After picking up Xiaoxia and letting Iron Warrior put on the spare cloak, Wutong took the 2 Pokémon to the venue of the Kana conference. Unconsciously, Wutong also began to get used to wearing a cloak. Chapter 522. After buying the ticket and entering the venue of the gorgeous competition, Wutong and the Iron Warrior holding Xiaoxia found a corner with a good view and sat down. Xiaoxia saw so many humans around, and the bad memory appeared in her mind again. She couldn't help but shrink a little and tightly grasped the Iron Warrior's arm. Don't worry, you are my family. I won't sell you. I just come to take you to see the show today. Wutong rubbed Xiaoxia's head and said. The Iron Warrior also imitated Wutong and rubbed Xiaoxia's head. Suddenly, Wutong and the Iron Warrior rubbed Xiaoxia's head, and Xiaoxia suddenly became unstable and shook. Before we knew it, the Kana conference had already begun. With the enthusiastic opening remarks of Vivian, the host of the Pokémon Gorgeous contest in the Hoenn region, the first contestant appeared. She was a trainer with a slingshot. With the referee's order, the performance officially began. The slingshot fired a water gun into the air. The water splashed in the air, forming a beautiful water curtain. The audience cheered and applauded for this wonderful performance. Xiaozhi was infected by the warm atmosphere on the field, gradually forgot the fear in his heart, and stared at the stage. Next, other coordination trainers also showed their unique skills one after another. Some Pokémon used fire radiation, some used electric shocks, and some showed excellent flying skills. Every performance was full of surprises and passion. The future star coordination trainer Marina is going to start the performance. Come on stage. Forever young crocodile. A familiar voice suddenly appeared, and a girl wearing a gorgeous dress that did not affect her movements, and with a W hairstyle first saluted the audience and the referee, and then threw out the Pokeball and shouted, "Oh!" The evolved crocodile appeared beside Marina. As expected by Wutong, Marina and Crocodile really performed a Kamen Rider transformation dance. What a coincidence. I didn't expect to see Marina here, but she still likes to dance as always. Wutong said to himself as he watched Marina start to perform. Lalu, however, there are still creatures who appreciate Marina's dance. Xiaoxia held his hands together in front of him, watching the performance on the field with stars in his eyes. Xiaoxia, do you like this? Wutong couldn't help asking when he saw Xiaoxia's state. Lalu. Xiaoxia looked at Wutong and nodded slowly. Is that so? If there is a chance, do you want to go up and perform? Wutong asked. Xiaoxia's face flushed immediately, and he shook his head and nodded again. There will be a chance in the future. Wutong rubbed Xiaoxia's head and said. The Iron Warrior looked at Wutong, and then at Xiaoxia with a paralyzed expression, and then he rubbed Xiaoxia's head. Lalu Xiaoxia's figure began to shake again. Thank you Marina for your wonderful performance. Next is the last contestant. Vivian said. Wutong's sight returned to the field again and saw a girl wearing a black dress with dark red flame patterns and short medium length hair walked onto the field. It's been a long time since I last saw you, Ninetales. The girl did not introduce herself, but threw the Pokeball directly and said, Wu. Ninetales appeared beside the girl, and the Ninetales swayed gently, and dots of flames fell from the Ninetales, making the Ninetales look elegant and beautiful. After seeing the last contestant on the field clearly, Wutong looked at his uniform hidden under the cloak with a complicated expression. Wutong began to doubt whether he was really an event attractor, or whether this uniform had the ability to attract criminals. Because the last coordinating trainer who participated in the Kana conference was the leader of the Magma team, Hoenn, one of the three fires. Iron Warrior, it seems that we have to work overtime, Wutong said to the Iron Warrior beside him. Chapter 523. The Iron Warrior looked at Hoenn and Jiwei who were performing on the field, and the sharp blade on his arm popped out, ready for battle. Hey, wait a minute, not now. Wutong hurriedly stopped him. Fortunately, they chose a seat in the corner, otherwise the Iron Warrior might scare other audiences. The Iron Warrior obediently took back the sharp blade and continued to rub his little head while watching the game on the field. Xiaoxia couldn't help hugging his head. He felt that he was going to be bald at a young age. The quality of this Kana conference was good. The coordinating trainers who participated in this conference all had their own unique skills, and the final round was not unexpectedly a confrontation between Marina and Hoenn. Although Marina grew up very fast, it was also in the aspect of gorgeousness, and Hoenn, one of the three fireheads of the Magma team, was more adept at fighting. So although Marina temporarily took the advantage through the gorgeous skill performance, Hoenn defeated Marina's crocodile with absolute strength to suppress the reverse attribute. Seeing the end of the game, Wutong stood up, and then it was time for him to work. Xiaoxia, come back first, Wutong said and took Xiaoxia back into the Pokeball first, and the next action was not suitable for Xiaoxia to participate. The Iron Warrior followed Wutong and left the competition site of the Kana conference. Wutong found the staff, and after stating his identity, he came to the exit channel of the players in advance to wait for Hoenn. Miss Hoenn, your fight just now was really amazing. I'm not your opponent at all. Marina walked side by side with Hoenn and kept praising Hoenn's performance. Hoenn responded to Marina's words with ease. She just wanted to experience the feeling of a gorgeous competition for the first time in a long time. Sorry, Miss Hoenn, do you mind if you have a moment to talk with me? Wutong said when he saw his target appear. It seems that this competition has given me a lovely fan. Sorry, Marina, you go back first, Hoenn said to Marina calmly, but Hoenn turned around and threw her gloved hand at Wutong halfway through her words. A stream of green slime was thrown out and thrown at Wutong. The Iron Warrior behind Wutong moved instantly and blocked Wutong. The sharp blades of his arms popped out and waved back and forth to block the slime thrown at Wutong. But slime is slime after all. The Iron Warrior's double blades and body were inevitably stuck with slime. Then the Iron Warrior felt that his actions were hindered. Hoenn took advantage of this opportunity to grab the dress on her body and threw it away. The dress instantly separated from Hoenn's body and covered Marina's head. Under the black dress was naked. Of course it couldn't be, it was the uniform of the Magma team. Tree fruit adhesive? It seems that you were indeed an excellent coordination trainer, right, Hoenn, one of the three fires of the Magma team. Wutong looked at Hoenn who was pulling away from him and called out Ninetales. What? What happened? Marina hurriedly took off the black dress covering her face. At this time, Marina hadn't figured out what happened. I don't remember that I'm so famous, but since you've been recognized, I can't let you go casually. Ninetales, Flame Whirlpool, Hoenn said and commanded Ninetales to start the attack. Iron Warrior, Electric Field, Wutong commanded calmly. Woo. Ninetales spit out a rotating flame from its mouth and began to burn the Iron Warrior directly. The Iron Warrior held the flames and swung his arms. Electric currents covered the entire field with the Iron Warrior as the center. Under the activation of the electrical field, the Iron Warrior's characteristic cork charging was activated, and the pink parts of his body emitted light, and his eyes became brighter and brighter. The flame sprayed by the Ninetale wrapped around the Iron Warrior and burned, burning the fruit adhesive on the Iron Warrior. Without the interference of the fruit adhesive, the Iron Warrior's speed was restored. The two sharp blades were combined, and the double-headed sword rotated to disperse the flames. The Iron Warrior rushed directly to the Ninetale. Seeing the Iron Warrior breaking through the flames without any impact and rushing over, Hoi-an couldn't help but frowned. She didn't expect the Iron Warrior's defense to be so high. After all, the Iron Warrior didn't look like a Pokémon with high defense. If Wutong knew what Hoi-an was thinking, he would probably laugh out loud. After all, who could have thought that the Iron Warrior's flash power would enhance double defense? Ninetale mysterious protection. Although Hoi-an was puzzled, he quickly commanded Xiaozhi to defend. Xiaozhi's 9 tails stood up separately, and stars appeared at the tips of the tails. A barrier with flashing spots of light protected Hoi-an and Xiaozhi behind. The double-headed sword of the Iron Warrior chopped on the barrier and was blocked. The mysterious guard in reality is much stronger than in the game. The mysterious guard in the game is just to protect oneself from falling into an abnormal state. But in reality, the mysterious guard is a real guard that can block most attacks, but it is not the same as guarding. The energy shield of guarding is extremely strong, but it can only block one round of attacks. Although the protection of the mysterious guard is easily broken, it wins in durability and continuity. Iron Warrior, continuous slash. Wutong commanded. Sure enough, Xiaozhi's mysterious guard only lasted for the first two swords of the Iron Warrior, before being chopped apart. Xiaozhi. Hot wind. Hoi-an continued to command. Woo. The 9 tails of the nine-tailed fox swung, and a scorching wind blew towards the Iron Warrior. Iron Warrior. Shadow sneak attack. Wutong commanded decisively. The Iron Warrior inserted the double-headed sword into the ground, first to stabilize his body and prevent himself from being affected by the hot wind. At the same time, with the double-headed sword as the center, a shadow rushed towards the nine-tailed fox at high speed. After arriving behind the nine-tailed fox, the shadow protruded from the ground and turned into the upper body of the Iron Warrior. Waving the shadow double-headed sword, it chopped at the nine-tailed fox. Woo. The nine-tailed fox felt pain, and the hot wind stopped involuntarily. Iron Warrior, waterflow split. Wutong saw the right time and directly let the Iron Warrior use a killing move. The Iron Warrior successfully came to the nine-tailed fox, and the water flow was wrapped around the double-headed sword. Next was the Iron Warrior's chopping performance. Hoi-an certainly didn't sit idly by. Knowing that the nine-tailed fox couldn't dodge at this time, Hoi-an swung his gloved hands and threw out the fruit adhesive again. This time the target was the Iron Warrior. The Iron Warrior had limited ways to deal with this kind of mucus. He was covered with mucus again, and his attack began to lag. Nine-tailed fox, shadow clone. Hoi-an seized the opportunity to command. Because of the influence of the fruit adhesive, the Iron Warrior gave the nine-tailed fox time to recover. The nine-tailed fox took this opportunity to slow down and use the shadow clone. More than a dozen nine-tailed foxes lined up and stared at the Iron Warrior. Nine-tailed fox, strange light. Hoi-an continued to command. Iron Warrior, magic shine. Wutong also commanded at the same time. The Iron Warrior just had few long-range attacks, but it didn't mean that he had none. Woo. More than a dozen nine-tailed foxes simultaneously spit out colorful twisted light and shot at the Iron Warrior. The Iron Warrior raised his double-headed sword in front of him, and the colorful light shot out, sweeping away the clones of the nine-tailed fox one after another. Hoi-an did not hesitate and swung his hands again. This time, it was not green mucus, but gray and black mucus. The two mucus were thrown to the ground by Hoi-an. The moment the two mucus of different colors merged, thick smoke rose. Wutong suddenly felt a sense of danger. He subconsciously turned sideways, and a black hidden weapon flew past Wutong and stabbed into the ground. TSK, did it run away? Wutong said unhappily as he looked at the black hidden weapon stuck in the ground. There was no way. The space of the contestant channel was not large. Wutong saw this condition and decided to bet on Hoi-an here. I didn't expect Hoi-an to be so cautious, and the tree fruit adhesive was too troublesome. This kind of mucus has too many restrictions on Iron Warriors. Maybe the tungsten steel snake can ignore this tree fruit adhesive, but the tungsten steel snake can't fight in this channel. Unexpectedly, the advantage condition chosen by Wutong himself created an opportunity for Hoenn. For the first time, Wutong felt his shortcomings in wild fighting. The way Hoenn fought with his Pokémon all the time could be called wild fighting. Wutong felt that he was fighting in a ring without boundaries, which was a problem that no amount of knowledge could solve. What Wutong needed more was experience and habit correction. After all, it was not only the command ability and the strength of the Pokémon that affected the outcome of a wild fight. Wutong suddenly felt a little grateful to Hoenn. The failure of this capture made Wutong discover his shortcomings early. While reflecting on his own problems, Wutong squatted down and looked at the hidden weapon inserted into the ground. It was better to say that it was a black horn-shaped object than a hidden weapon. Wutong pulled out the black horn. If nothing unexpected happened, the method of using this black horn should be. Wutong pressed the button on the black horn, and a flame ignited from the black horn. The next second, Hoenn's face appeared in the flame. See you next time, little sister. I have something to do, so I won't play with you. By the way, don't hold this lighter for too long, the fire goose and the flames teased. Wutong frowned and threw the black horn lighter in his hand decisively. What is that? Life is always full of coincidences. The black horn lighter thrown by Wutong fell into Marina's arms. Marina held the black horn lighter in confusion. The next second, the black horn lighter cracked, and a stream of pink mucus shot out and stuck to Marina's dress. My dress. Marina screamed immediately. However, this is not the end. After being stained by the mucus, the dress began to dissolve. Marina screamed again and immediately covered her body and squatted down. What a terrible woman. Wutong couldn't help saying as she looked at Marina squatting on the ground. Chapter 524. The two of them were so busy that they had to face each other. Looking at Marina squatting on the ground, Wutong walked over. Although it was an accident, he was somewhat involved in it. He couldn't just leave Marina here. Marina, are you okay? Wutong took off his cloak and put it on Marina and asked, Miss Xianatong, what's going on? Marina couldn't help asking Wutong squatting in front of her. She just participated in a gorgeous meeting in Kanto City normally. Not only did she not get the ribbon medal, but even her favorite dress for the competition was ruined. The point is that she didn't know what happened at all. Wutong appeared inexplicably, Hoenn started inexplicably, and in the end, she was the one who got hurt. Before the next game, find a witch or magician to try your luck. You probably don't have good luck today, Wutong said earnestly. After all, the black horn lighter is not very big, so there is not much corrosive liquid in it. Even if the black horn lighter is compressed and sprayed out by the corrosive liquid, the part covering Marina is not much. So although Marina's clothes are corroded with many holes, they are not to the point of being naked. I don't know whether Hoenn showed mercy or was restricted by the tool. What is going on? Why is Miss Xianatong here? And why did she suddenly start fighting with Miss Hoenn? No, the key point should be who is Miss Hoenn. Marina kept asking questions with tears in her eyes. Looking at Marina's pitiful and aggrieved appearance, Wutong felt that if Kenta saw Marina like this, his heart would probably be broken. Unfortunately, Wutong is not Kenta. Not only will he not be heartbroken by Marina's embarrassed appearance, but he even wants to laugh a little. Hoenn is one of the cadres of the evil organization Team Magma in the Hoenn region. To be honest, I'm also curious why Hoenn dares to attend the Kanto conference openly. Wutong shrugged and said, how could this be? Her performance was so perfect, and she is also a very nice person. Marina said in disbelief. Is she a very nice person? So nice that she changed your dress into a begging style? Wutong asked. Marina felt even more uncomfortable after hearing Wutong's question. Wutong did not intend to continue to stimulate Marina. Since Hoenn could not be caught directly, there was no need to stay here. It was just a pity that I didn't know what Hoenn's purpose was in Kanto City. After comforting Marina again, Wutong left here. Team Magma must have set their sights on something in Kanto City. According to the plot that Wutong knew, it was Hoenn number 1, if nothing unexpected happened. In any case, we still have to remind Directon and Moo. After leaving the venue of the Kana conference, Wutong did not rush to remove his disguise, but began to patrol around Kana City to see if he could find the trace of Hoyan. Unfortunately, Hoyan should have left Kana City directly without leaving any clues. At night, Wutong, who had removed his disguise and returned to his original appearance, lay in the guest room of the Pokémon Center and suddenly felt that he seemed to be more and more dedicated. After a night, Wutong came to the Marine Science Museum early. He found Director Nanmu with ease, and Director Nanmu was much more energetic than when he saw him yesterday. "You are here, Wutong," Director Nanmu said calmly after seeing Wutong. "Good morning, Director Nanmu. I wonder if the things that Mr. Dago wants are ready. I'm afraid that there will be some accidents there, so I want to leave as soon as possible," Wutong said. "Don't worry, it's ready in the backyard of the Marine Science Museum," Director Nanmu said. With that, Director Nanmu took Wutong to the backyard of the Marine Science Museum. "I saw a strange looking reverse tricycle parked in the yard." "Well, isn't that it?" Wutong asked, looking at the reverse tricycle in front of him with an inexplicable sense of technology. "Yes, the specific technology cannot be told to you in detail because it contains confidential information, but as long as there is this infinite submarine car, we can explore deep into the magma." "Probably." Director Nanmu patted the reverse tricycle and said. "Wait a minute, Director Nanmu, you just said probably, right? You definitely said probably, right?" Wutong asked sharply, grasping the key point. "Well, it's just your illusion." "Well, time waits for no one. Let's set off quickly." "Yes, Dago told me that you can ride a motorcycle, so the main driver I made it according to the driving method of a motorcycle," Director Nanmu said kindly. After hearing what Director Nanmu said, Wutong's eyes widened. What does it mean? Would he want to let him ride this thing into the magma in the future? However, without giving Wutong time to continue asking, Director Nanmu directly dragged Wutong to the side of the main driver and began to introduce it in detail. The main driver's seat is indeed very similar to a motorcycle, but there is an additional control console, and the position directly behind the main driver is a single person riding space. Although it is a reverse tricycle, the size of the whole car is not small, almost a circle larger than a normal speedboat. In addition, the fully enclosed design for diving into the magma also looks a bit like a mechanical beast. And why it is designed to look like a reverse tricycle is because there are various devices hidden in front of this infinite submarine car. What kind of mechanical arm, exploration radar, and other items that are convenient for exploring in the magma. God knows why you have to explore in the magma. Wutong knew that he couldn't run away, so he simply started to study seriously, and at the same time I relearned the use and maintenance of the escape equipment. After Director Nanmu finished explaining everything, Wutong also embarked on the journey of delivering goods. As for who the goods belonged to, it was hard to say. After leaving Kana City, Wutong called out the Dream Demon and tried to put the infinite submarine car into the shadow. As a result, the Dream Demon circled the infinite submarine car with a thoughtful expression on his face and then shook his head decisively. One reason was that the infinite submarine car was too big, and another reason was that the energy of the infinite submarine car made the Dream Demon feel repelled. If it was forced into the shadow space, something bad might happen. After hearing the answer of the Dream Demon, Wutong seemed to know something. If nothing unexpected happened, this infinite submarine car should be made with energy as the power source, and energy is converted from the life energy of Pokémon. This kind of living energy may naturally conflict with ghost Pokémon. After knowing that he had to ride this infinite submarine car to hurry on, Wutong had no choice but to embark on the journey again. Chapter 525. The car was so big that it was difficult to drive. Wutong rode the infinite submarine car and rushed all the way to Chimney Mountain. Perhaps because Dago had said hello in advance, Director Nanmu had thoughtfully left a slot for Automobile in the console of the infinite submarine car. At this time, Automobile was comfortably inserted into the console, his eyes eager to try, and he was looking forward to Wutong's automatic driving. However, Wutong, who knew Automobile's character well, did not dare to give the control of the infinite submarine car to Automobile. Otherwise, Wutong might have broken down on the road before reaching Chimney Mountain. After driving until noon, Wutong decided to take a break. After all, Wutong's speed was already very fast. Wutong found an open space near the water, stopped the infinite submarine, and prepared to let his Pokémon out for some exercise. The tungsten Steelix was rarely released, and went directly into the water. The Iron Warrior took Xiaoxia to play with the remaining 4 little ones. The Iron Warrior directly transformed into a nursery teacher, with a blank expression on his face. Crowhead, Fossil Pterosaur, Xiaoho and Xiaoao began to help Wutong prepare lunch. After Wutong took out the ingredients and put them aside, and then went to the water to wash the ingredients, a head suddenly popped up next to the food that Wutong had placed. After looking around and making sure that no one was looking at it, it began to secretly pick the ingredients that Wutong had placed. However, just as this Pokémon was carefully selecting, a purple onion head appeared next to this Pokémon and patted its shoulder. The Pokémon was suddenly patted on the shoulder, and its 2 ears stood up in fear. It turned its expressionless and gloomy face. The red hair from the left ear to the eye was like a scar, which made the gloomy face more fierce. This is a Mongoose Slash. Mongoose Slash looked at the purple onion head that suddenly appeared with a paralyzed face. The calm face was exposed by the slightly trembling pupils. After the purple onion head stared at Mongoose Slash for 2 seconds, it began to instruct Mongoose Slash on what food would be delicious, even if it was not processed, and also recommended the food it liked. Mongoose Slash went from confusion at the beginning to thinking, to understanding and then to admiration. Mongoose Slash wished he had a notebook to write down all the words of the purple onion head. However, after the 2 Pokémons communicated for a while, the purple onion head suddenly trembled and disappeared instantly. Mongoose Slash was puzzled. What happened? Why did his teacher suddenly disappear? You are very courageous. You stole the food so openly, Wutong said as he appeared behind Mongoose Slash with his 4 main Pokémon. Mongoose Slash was shocked, turned stiffly, and looked at Wutong and his Pokémon. Mongoose Slash's expression was still gloomy, and then he put down the food he had picked, bowed to Wutong, and ran away. Mongoose Slash ran away unexpectedly fast. Wutong, who had no intention of stopping Mongoose Slash, couldn't help but sigh as he looked at Mongoose Slash's back. I always feel that the expressionless face is very similar to Shinji. It must be very funny if the 2 of them stand together. Wutong stroked his chin and muttered to himself. What are you saying about me behind my back again? A familiar voice sounded behind Wutong. Wutong was shocked, and the whole action was exactly the same as Mongoose Slash just now. My dear friend, why are you here? Wutong asked stiffly. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.